What is going on, people? Welcome to Throw Down Your Questions, episode 322. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Sup, people? How's it going?
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Yo, yo, yo.
Adam Vale.
Soccer Free Sunday.
Brett Murdoch.
Strike first.
And Brian Manjoma. Hello, Brian. Brian doesn't want to talk right now. He's been kidnapped by the Queen, you know.
The Queen kidnapped herself.
Yeah, the Queen. Hello, Brian.
I'm here.
She's surprisingly agile.
Yeah, right. All right, man. We're back with another one. You already know. These guys were talking about Cobra Kai, so I'm here like waiting for them to stop talking so I can start the show. Oh man.
Good luck, man.
You haven't watched any of it, right?
I don't care. I don't care, to be honest.
It's not about caring. It's just something fun to watch.
You say that, Tony, but you haven't watched it.
Yeah, I know, but it's like
It's one of those things you don't think you care about Karate High School until 3 episodes of Karate High School.
Karate High School.
If you like, what was that game that we played? Because we can link it to games.
The Division.
No.
There's like the Division, you know.
It's like
You got ninjas.
River City Ransom. There you go. River City Ransom. That's what this is like.
Okay, that's weird.
We were playing that?
Yeah, we never played that.
You never played that? That old
I
game
played it, but I didn't like it very much.
Oh Lord! What about the River? What's the one with the girls?
River
City Girls?
River City Girls.
I didn't really care for
There you
that
go.
either.
Well, it's fun. It's a lot of crazy karate going on in schools. Kids fighting, getting thrown off balconies, knife fights and stuff. It's good.
Yeah, no, it's good. Glad you guys enjoy it. All right, we're just gonna get right into it, man. We got questions tonight, and we're gonna start off with a doozy for Mob Hits. All right, is Microsoft waiting to finalize the Zenimax deal to officially announce that all games produced after the deal are Xbox exclusives? Yes. I 100% agree with that. That's why they've been coy with their language this entire time. They can't say those games are exclusive because the deal isn't finalized yet. I guarantee you, once that deal is finalized, they're going to just say it. They're going to just flat out say it. It's like, yep, those games belong to us. And that's going to be that.
I also think they also don't want to cause any sort of unwanted waves at this point in time.
Yeah, they don't because there's nothing finalized yet.
Not only because things aren't finalized, but they don't need it. With a system that doesn't have any sort of things that are important for it right now, do they really want to make people pissed off? Pissed off that these games are going to be exclusive?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
This is
What
the
games
wrong.
do you think are gonna be exclusive?
This would be the wrong moment. This would be the wrong moment at this point in time to announce anything being exclusive. When they start, when I feel like when the ball is still is officially rolling with Xbox, that is the moment when they will make that sort of announcement. But they won't do it any earlier.
Yeah. What about the rest of you guys? I have something else I want to ask you guys, but I want to get your takes on this first.
I mean, it makes sense. Just, liability and all that stuff. From a business perspective, you'd want to do that. So that makes sense.
It comes down to money. They want to see where they make the most money. That's the way Phil keeps advertising everything. It's all about the money. If they can make money elsewhere with something, then he's down for it. If not, then they keep it in-house.
Yeah, I mean, it was a power play with service. I mean, we talked about this last time with Stadia, and before that, we said this happened because really Microsoft was trying to, push out Google. Right, you got to corner the market there in the services. You can't have things going to Stadia. They did it first.
They won. They got it.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what it's all about. So of course it's going to be exclusive, but I didn't know there was that the deal wasn't final. I thought that had happened already.
No, it's not finalized yet. It's coming soon, though. It's coming soon.
All right,
within
to a theater near you.
Yeah, to a theater near you. Brett, what's your take, man?
Honestly, I'm not sure, man, that they're going to announce that all the games are exclusive. So I understand why people would think that, but if you play it out in your brain practically, so they got Fallout, they got fucking that space game, whatever it's called, Starfield, and they've got Elder Scrolls.
Yeah,
those are the 3 big ones.
And
now,
Doom
neither of
and Wolfenstein.
No, they have a whole cabinet of stuff, right? Yeah. But like their 3 flagship franchises, I guess, as it stands right now. And Bethesda doesn't release games like Ubisoft. They don't release games one after another, after another, after another. So, coming out and saying like all of our Elder Scrolls games from now on are going to be exclusive. I don't think that they're going to do that because they don't need to. Because that's 6 years down the road. They'll fucking deal with it then when expectations are changed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
I
definitely think that's the moment when they'll start making any of those sorts of announcements. If they make it, then they're not going to do it early because all that's going to do is going to shade any sort of further information. People are just going to be pissed, be like, "Oh, fuck these guys, man! Fuck the."
Yeah, I do want to add that I agree with that. I said they are going to announce it after the fact, but that doesn't mean they have to do it when the deal is finalized. They could do that years down the line because, like both of you guys are saying, they don't want to piss anybody off right now, So they're not going to say anything until they need to say something. But I will say they will say something afterwards. It's just doesn't. It's not going to happen right away. You know what I'm saying?
Good Xbox news is very finite right now.
Yeah.
Even you saw the repercussions of when they didn't even make this. When when that announcement came out late at night about the price change on what was it, Games with Gold, right?
On Xbox Live Gold,
the Xbox Live Gold, right? They don't need any sort of information like that to sort of shade their thing. Right now, at least I see it, is that they're playing a slightly low key. Where they'll concentrate on the really good things like, hey, we can make games look really good on the Xbox without actually using any patches, from the previous generation. Isn't that great? Yeah, they're going to concentrate on that stuff. And then when the time is right, that's when they're going to be like, yo, guess what?
Yeah, man, you're talking about like brand protection, basically, right?
Oh, hell yeah. That's what they're doing right now.
I have to agree, because, like, Zenimax is the tipping point. It's the iceberg that sunk the Titanic, right? But you kind of have to... If Microsoft did this the wrong way, they could damage their reputation to the point where they're known in the gaming sphere as the company that just buys games. And although they sunk a lot of money into things, that's honestly, as we've talked about in the show here before, not abnormal. It's how big game companies do things. Sony does the same thing. So they want to be seen as, very slyly kind of like, yeah, we got some really good studios where we're financing them. We're going to get some really good stuff. We're just kind of letting them do their own thing, kind of like Sony does. Or if they, like I said, if they play it wrong, they're the company that just buys successful companies. Yeah. So, if I were them, I wouldn't say, oh, we're making this all exclusive, because it makes it look like your game plan is to just lock things behind walls.
Yeah, they gobble everything up. Yeah.
But is that a bad thing?
Yeah. Gamers would hate that kind of thing.
But the thing is, Microsoft is already seen as that.
Well,
and they're trying not to reinforce it.
Again, yeah, I think they're really trying. They're really trying to be your buddy right now, in a lot of different ways. And I think that sort of look doesn't help their outward appearance, because I even though I definitely think that public opinion does affect a lot of the way things go, right? Microsoft could not live down throughout the whole generation that whole TV stuff. Even when they turned all of that shit off, it totally shaded that generation. So my thought is on this situation is just they're going to keep it low key until they got some stuff out, they got some games, they got some momentum, and that's when they make the big news. Boom.
Yeah,
Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. Man, do you think they're going to do it all at once, or do you think they're just going to do it on a case-by-case basis?
Case by case.
I think it's going to be.
That's what I think.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to. I don't think they're going to flood it. I think they're going. They're not going to say. They're not going to say like, oh, every single. No, they're just going to do one at a time and see, sort of maybe see how it looks.
Starfield gets officially announced, Xbox exclusive. Elder Scrolls comes out, Xbox exclusive. They're gonna do it case by case. Watch that. That's definitely gonna happen. I agree with that. Again, like I keep saying, Microsoft did not spend $7.5 billion to put games on other systems. And this is the other thing I want to ask you guys, right? Let's just say for the sake of argument, that Sony was the one that bought Bethesda, right? Let's say Nintendo bought Bethesda. There would be no question that these games would be exclusive. Nobody would even second guess it. Yet Microsoft does it. Everybody questions: are these going to be exclusive or not? Why is that?
Well, because they have a service called Xbox Game Pass that they're trying to get into every single platform.
And you got right to the point. Is it because of the fact that they're trying to put all their games on every platform that people just assume that they're going to be on everything? Because remember, Carlos, if there's a Sony, nobody would ask that question at all.
Tony, you of all people know that you get a reputation, you get a stink on you, and it's hard to get off. Microsoft is still limping off its old stink. It's still they've got a bad reputation. I know you even heard in this conversation. You're like, oh, Microsoft doesn't want to be a company that's known for buying successful game companies. Well, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, so is Sony.
Can I
Sony just did this? Sony just did this a few years ago when everybody
but
forgot.
my point is, if Sony bought Bethesda, nobody would be like,
No, I know.
My point,
My point of this is there is a prejudice against Microsoft. Even the Microsoft fans, we kind of like, that's relegated to second place. It's almost become natural. So Microsoft has to really watch what they're doing because they're trying to shake off a reputation is really, really difficult. And you have to do things so much more by the book. So now that Microsoft's been called out and the gaming community calls shenanigans on them, they're under a microscope until they deliver again.
Carlos.
Hey, Brett, can I fight back on a point and ask you a question after? On something, on
you
another point?
You'll be fighting throwdown, man. You should never ask that question here.
I'm about to throw it down right now.
He's gonna drop the mic, man.
Nah, I'm not gonna do that. So, Brett, I want to disagree on the point that Starfield is a flagship franchise. It's not even a franchise yet, let alone flagship. So I'll hold my horses on Starfield until something comes out.
Yeah. For lack of a better thing, it's their big. I only call it a flagship thing because all of their marketing is pouring into it. If you look at the company right now,
one of their key titles. So just call it out. One of their key titles.
There you go. One of the key titles. That's much better.
Okay,
Thanks, Tony.
So that's number one. Number two, you mentioned the Zenimax acquisition was the iceberg on the Titanic, and the iceberg that sank the Titanic. Who's the Titanic?
In that awkward metaphor, Microsoft is the Titanic on the sea of bad reputation of just buying games. Or buying game studios. Like they bought studio after studio after studio, and then they bought Zenimax, and then it's fucking like before it went from look at buying all those studios to holy shit, they just bought something we care about.
Yeah. So you're saying if they fuck this up, this will fucking doom them essentially.
Yeah, this is the needle that broke the camel's back. Like
we
this
have a lot of metaphors tonight. Like, hold on,
I'm trying to think of a good one. That's the best one. The needle that broke the camel's back. The camel's back. I think that's how you say it.
Straw.
Yeah.
Straw.
Yeah. It's the catalyst event because every time Microsoft bought somebody before, like, that's cool. Like I like Ninja Theory, but it's whatever. And they bought ZeniMax, and everyone's like, oh shit. And then all of a sudden they started thinking about all the other companies that they bought. We did it here on the podcast. So like, oh shit, they bought ZeniMax. Come to think of it, they own blank and blank and blank and blank. So yeah, it's that reputation of troubled waters of reputation that people are gonna just think that Microsoft buys titles. Which again, what the fuck would you expect to happen? Do you think they're not gonna wish them into existence? So and I guess they could go and open several studios from the ground up, but that's just really hard. They got money.
They could open a couple of initiatives,
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks, Adam.
And then a lot of these studios want that. Some of these are struggling. Small studios, you always hear about it. They're hoping to get gobbled up. Get that funding.
I don't think they're gonna. As soon as this deal comes out, a month or 2 or 3 or immediately after, I don't think they're gonna say anything about exclusivity. It's all about hedging bets here.
Yeah.
And a lot of these titles, it's a case by case basis. We already know that some of the titles that are coming out later or a little bit later this year, or I don't know where they're coming out, but Deathloop, I think, is a Bethesda title. It's going to be multi-platform.
That's going to be multi-platform. Remember, any game made before the deal is still going to be on everything.
Did you guys talk about who bought Gearbox? It wasn't.
That's not part of this question.
I'm asking if they bought them. I don't know. Microsoft did they buy Gearbox? It wasn't.
No, not Microsoft.
It was wasn't it THQ Nordic? I could be wrong.
It was THQ Nordic.
That was one of those.
Yeah, one of those. You guys have told us.
Them or a Chinese company.
Yeah.
Take your pick.
Oh, all right, let's move on. We got more questions to answer tonight. So this next one is from Logic Wins, who's also joining us in the chat tonight. What's going on,
What's up,
brother?
Logic?
All right, so
Logic.
Yeah, I like people that are logical, man. Appreciate that. All right, his first question is the Series X's recently announced ability to unlock the boost the frame rate of older titles without the need of a developer patch the most badass next-gen feature thus far. We talked about this on the Thursday show. It's cool. It's a good feature, you know? I don't know about the most badass of all time or whatever, but it's pretty fucking dope.
Yeah, because it's not doing. I mean, the way the Digital Foundry sort of explained it, it's a very interesting thing where it sort of tricks the system into running everything in a higher frame rate, but at the same time, it's not making them look any like, with the exception of Lucky's Tale, where it's actually running that at 120 something frames per second. And, that game is running at 4K. It's not running any of the previous titles in any higher resolution. So, like Watch Dogs and all the other games that they announced on that, they're still running at 900p, which is cheesy old Xbox One, resolution.
Yeah.
My guess is if
it was going up, it was just tricking it. The game thinks it's still doing it, but it's not.
It's only for frame rates. It has only to do with the frame rate. With everything else, so like if it's like let's say if it was an optimized version of one of the games, one of the X.
We got Far Cry 4, we got Watch Dogs 2, we got UFC 4, and some other titles. A
lot of those games are running on the original with the original patches, or like the 900p, or it's running the Xbox One X version of it. So like for UFC, they have like quality mode, and then they had like frame rate mode. So what you do is you just put it in a quality mode, and it still runs in 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
So there's no difference between them.
To answer the question, I don't think this is a game changer because shout out to Brian. PC has been doing it for years.
Yeah, it's not a game changer. It's cool. Well, it's definitely cool, but it's not a game changer.
Oh no, it's not a game. It's not a game changer. But the thing is, it does one important thing. You don't need to do a bunch of workarounds to get the damn thing to work. They don't need any sort of additional patches, and that's the important thing.
It is. Go ahead.
What do you like? If especially for those games that, like, let's say the studio went out of business, right? Or let's say it's like a place like Konami, who's probably not going to be doing redevelopment on any of their old titles, like Metal Gear Solid 5, or any of those other games that they previously released. This is the chance for those games to look as good as they can look, running that nice, the fancy 60 frames per second. Yep. On the new console.
Right, go ahead, brother.
This is more of a bragging point anyway. At least somebody who's been through, Tony, having been through multiple generations of launches. Everybody cares about backwards compatibility until they get it, and then nobody cares.
No,
that's right.
Everybody cares about backwards compatibility until the real games start coming out. That's what it really is.
Yeah.
Right
so
now.
At this point, it's more of a point of pride, and then when it comes out, all 10 people who really wanted it are going to really enjoy it. But it's not going to be a game changer because at the end of the day, I hate to say it because I don't want to discount people, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The audience is small enough that you'll get called out if you don't have it. People will ask for it. It's a bragging point. It's a collar popping thing, and then you get it, and you're like, why do I want to play a bunch of games from last generation?
Mm-hmm.
Or dear God, the generation before? Like,
we do it now when we play old ass shit. I mean, we're still playing.
No, but it's cool. But
yesterday,
but why are we playing old games? Because there's nothing new to play. That's why.
Exactly. Nobody cares.
If there were new games, we would be playing fucking Division again. You know.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. People obviously do care about legacy, but when you don't have anything to talk about that's new, and it's always about the new shit. That's when people start talking about, oh, hey, it doesn't play the old game.
I would be playing Monster Hunter right now if I had something new to play, bro. Come on now.
So, like,
I never hear people asking for...
What new stuff would you want to play?
I want to play new shit. That's what I want to play, you know?
Yeah, Adam, you never hear people asking for this shit mid-gen. Have you noticed that? Nobody mid-gen is like, where's my backwards compatibility?
Yeah, where's my Conker's for
That's not true. For the longest time, people were asking.
Adam, you're a special case, though, man. You're more of a retro head like that, you know? Like me, I want to play the new shit.
No,
Adam, you're one of those 10 guys I referenced earlier.
That is true. There you go.
Exactly. Here's the thing. It's not to say that people don't care
They
about
do,
legacy.
but
People
it's not a lot.
obviously care about legacy, but in anything, from music to movies to everything, it's always about what's what's new that's on the table. People are not going to care about the fact that 2001 is already is on there. They want to get the new Marvel movie.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. The only time anybody really starts to look back is when there's a lack of new content.
And which is precisely what's going on right now on both systems. So yeah, to answer the question directly, no, it's not a game changer. All right, next question. I believe I have it ready here. It's also from Mr. Logic Wins. All right, also related to the previous question. Do you think the gaming media, hip-hop gamer in particular, I don't know why he singles hip-hop gamer out.
All right.
Okay, do you think the gaming media will give Sony a pass for the PS5 not having a comparable feature despite the same price as the Series X? No one's, like I said, it's only 10 guys. Nobody cares, man. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's again, it would be nice to be able to play some old PlayStation 2 and 3 games. I mean,
at 60 frames a second, you know?
Yeah,
remember, he's talking about the frame boost thing specifically.
Yeah, it would be nice if all those things were there, but at the same time, I feel like, if I don't think it's a really big talking point. It sounds really cool.
Sounds cool, but then it's like, oh, okay, I got old games I beat 10 years ago. Why?
Yeah. So like, it's just, it's all about what's new. It's great. It's great that this thing exists, but I think in general, like, I don't know if people are going to call out Sony for not having a thing that boosts their old games.
Yeah, they absolutely won't. Nobody calls Sony out on anything.
Oh,
let's be fucking frank here.
Yeah,
I mean, I just found out the other day when I was playing with Tony. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Does the fucking PlayStation not have the game swap mode or feature? Like, I got so fucking used to it.
Quick resume.
Yeah, Tony was like, no. And I was like, that should be a big fucking selling point. Like, I know it kind of was for Microsoft. They came out and they're like, hey, check out this new feature. Audience of crickets. And it actually turns out to be a cool thing. Like, but yes, Sony has a spotlight. They're the audience darling right now. They're Tom Brady. So they're gonna get a little bit of preferential treatment. And that's not craziness, that's not fanboyism, that's just the real world. Like, when Apple was rocking it really hard, Samsung had to do twice as fucking much to even catch up to them. And now the market is finally kind of swinging that way. So when you're number 2, you have to put in a lot more work than number 1. Like, imagine you're in a race, right? Number 1, all they have to do is maintain their speed, say 100 miles an hour. This is a car race. They have to maintain their speed, 100 miles an hour. But if you're player 2, then you have to, go 110 miles an hour just to fucking make up the difference. And that's what we're seeing here. So yeah, Sony gets a pass. Why? Because they're winning.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, and also, like we said before, this feature is not exactly a game changer.
No, it's not. It's not a game changer, but it just sounds really awesome. Which is
now, do you think
cool.
The feature itself is great? It's fantastic, but it's like, I'd rather play new games.
Tony,
yeah, what's up,
do you
bro?
think do you think if it was a game-changing feature that anything would really change, though? Unless it were just, like, hugely revolutionary, once-in-a-lifetime thing. Like, if it were just, like game swapping. Like, a thing that changes the way that you play games, but not in a huge noticeable way. Like, do you think it would happen then?
No, because they're old games, man. It doesn't matter. They're all. It all comes down to I don't care. I love fucking Super Mario Brothers. I don't need to play that 120 frames a second. I was like, who cares? I did that already. Like it's over.
Well, buying that shit
I'm not even talking about games though.
No, but the question is referring to the feature. The frame rate boost. That's what the question is about. And if Sony will get called out for not having it, and you rightly said they won't. So I guess you're asking me a different question altogether, Brett.
Yeah. I'm asking out of curiosity if this were, something different than this particular feature of, backwards compatibility, which we've established people don't really care about after games get launched. If it were another thing, a small feature, not the end of the world, but something small but revolutionary. Let's say. Do you think Sony would get called out for not having that?
I don't know. I need to know what it is.
Let's say it's another thing like Game Swap.
Probably not. Because even a quick resume, as cool as it is, it's not really a big deal. Because who the fuck's playing 7 games at the same time? People usually play 1 game at a time, maybe 2 at most. So if it's comparable to quick resume, no, they wouldn't get called out because most people won't care.
I can't think of a game-changing feature. That's a question all by itself.
Yeah, well, I guess you could think about it. It's a good question, but I need a firm example.
Was game-changing. That's fucking awesome.
A game-changing feature is a really good game.
Hey Tony,
how about that? An actual next-gen exclusive. That's a game-changing feature.
Hey Tony, how about this? If Microsoft allowed you to digitally lend games to your friends, that thing.
Yeah.
And Sony didn't have a follow-up. They didn't have a response. Do you think they get called out for it?
Damn right.
That's a good question.
Because that's a game changer right there. If you can,
it is. But I feel like a lot of people will be like, Sony's about the exclusives.
Yeah, you know what, Brett? To answer your question, no, I don't think Sony get called up. People will be like, whatever.
Oh, I don't think so. We saw that with the crossplay.
I know. I would be. I'd be like, who the fuck cares? I would say that. Like, whatever.
And then they make a big stink, and then eventually things get changed.
Yeah, it could.
I think
it depends on who you ask.
It depends on it depends on the person. Like me, Adam says it would be a big deal. I don't think it would be. So it depends on the person.
I don't know. I think the one thing to think about here is a game changing feature is not exactly the most advanced feature. It's the one that is adopted by the general public, not us, not the gamers, but the people who are who essentially are the more casual type of gamer, right? The ones
casuals.
Yeah, exactly. The guys that don't exactly know the guys that don't exactly know that there's a fucking share play feature. They don't know what quick resume is. They have no idea what some of the other features are. The features that they take notice of, those end up being the game changer features.
Yeah. Hey Brett,
sharing games being one of them.
Tumeke has a question for you related to this.
Shoot.
He goes, if Sony had a game-changing feature and Xbox didn't, would you say anything? You, Brett Murdoch, would you say anything?
Of course.
Well,
I know it sounds on here like I'm an Xbox sometimes, but I'm actually just a contrarian. So if we're
You're
talking
not allowed
about
to do that, no, you can't be like.
Yeah. Well,
that's just how it works, People.
No. I'm an iconoclast. I can do whatever the hell I want.
No. People can't accept that. You can't like vanilla and chocolate, Brett. You can't like vanilla and chocolate.
I can like both, and I can hate whichever one is popular at the time.
Oh man, no, Brett gets a pass because he said the word iconoclast. That's it, my man.
Can't do it.
Oh, guy, love it. All right,
can't accept it.
Keeping it real up in the field, all right. Okay, let's move on to the next question. That was fun. This one is from Mob Hits. By the way, Mob Hits, man, we're letting you get away with 3 questions this week because we didn't get too many. And they're all really good. And this will, by the way, you guys noticing a theme? We're talking about Xbox right now, man.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
But this is the final Xbox question of the night. Not the final question of the night, Xbox question of the night. Motherfuckers like, damn, this episode was fucking short, motherfuckers. I just got here and shit. All right, his question is, will Microsoft have a Japanese exclusive on the Series X? I think so, and I'm going to explain why. Because Uncle Phil, if you guys remember, before the Rona, he was in Japan for a good couple weeks talking to some companies. We will see a game. I just don't know when or what the game could be. You know.
Here's the one.
They were about to have one. It was called Scalebound.
Oh,
Here's the
Carlos,
one.
where you at, dude?
Here's the one thing though. Like they could. Microsoft could easily leverage the fact that Microsoft doesn't have nearly as strict of a censorship program as Sony does. Because what's been happening right now is that Sony has been essentially been internally censoring all of their Japanese titles, which would normally get through under the old Sony regime, which currently gets through on the Nintendo Switch. They could easily leverage all of those things. Be like, hey, listen, Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball, we ain't gonna touch it. Just put it out. Or any one of those funky dating sim games or whatever, those little anime games that they always like to put out there, because all those things have been censored on the PlayStation. As of they've been heavily more censored than they previously were.
Yo, man, they got more titty physics on Switch, man. What's up?
Oh yeah, I mean, because they're just like, listen, put it out, whatever. We just want stuff on here. Sony's like, well, they got their little pinky up, and they're like, no, we don't just they have their own seal of approval.
Yeah, they do have their own seal of approval,
Censoring it.
Yeah.
It could be a 20-year game. Put it there, and they still charge $60 for that shit.
All I'm saying is they can't have anime titties anymore, but you could have that one scene from Last of Us being perfectly fine. Just saying. Just saying. Yeah,
like one is worse than the other one, right?
That's what I'm saying, bruh.
That's fucking hypocrisy, man. They ain't getting away with that shit.
Yeah, anyway,
what?
Go ahead, your last thing, and then let's get back to the actual question.
In general, it's just like the MPA. It's like a lot of times it's based off of context, and that's how they're censoring certain things.
Yeah. All right.
So anyway,
Chris, Japanese game from Xbox Series X. Any possibility?
Well, I would say it's low because look. There's one thing like throwing money around, but it's another thing when studios are very close. Like, I don't know what happened with Microsoft and Platinum or why he canceled Scalebound, but that creates ripples with other studios, right? Kamiya has links to Capcom, he has links to other studios and whatever. I think there's bad blood there, and honestly, I think
he blocked Phil, man. He blocked Phil.
Yeah, but I think you're gonna have a hard time getting another studio to take on a project after whatever happened with Scalebound. That's my belief. So I think a Japanese exclusive for them would be pretty difficult unless either A, he buys another studio, or B, he somehow he finds the one studio that's like doesn't give a shit about that history and just goes, okay, well, we'll give you a game. So I think it's more unlikely than if that didn't happen. If Scalebound had happened, then I think it would have been easier for him to gain the favor of another studio and get another exclusive. I don't think that's the case now. I mean, it could be wrong, but I just think it'd be more difficult than it should have been.
Do you think his trips to Japan were fruitless? Like nothing came of it?
I mean,
because that's possible.
It is possible. Like you make trips everywhere and try to make deals. Sometimes deals fall through. Things don't happen. Like there's plenty of stuff. Movies don't get made. Games don't get made. And I mean, Scalebound's not the only example. But how are Microsoft getting their exclusives now? How many studios did they have to purchase? So it's for them to go reach out to, I don't know who else is making third-party games, Level 5 or whoever, and say, hey, we want an exclusive. That's rather difficult, especially it's like, what happened with Platinum? Then they got to explain that, right? But then they explain it, and then Kamiya explains it, right? So who are they going to believe? They're going to believe Phil Spencer? I don't think so. So for me, it's like, it's going to be a little tough for him to get an exclusive now.
You know what? I said they will, but you convinced me to change my answer. Like, yeah, especially after the Bethesda deals, like they're not going to be buying any more exclusives. Especially a Japanese one. Japan notoriously does not buy Xboxes. I think Xbox Series X sold like half a console. Like you know what I'm saying? Like they don't sell nothing over there.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, and this is just this low sell-through in Japan. So I don't know how you justify spending millions on we're gonna acquire. So they already acquired one, right, for Hellblade. Whoever makes it, it's like you're gonna acquire another one to get. I don't think anybody would sell out to you at that rate, and B, I think it's gonna be difficult for him to negotiate. Now he could have negotiated something, but I don't know. That remains to be seen. I think it'd be rather difficult for him at this point to negotiate something, considering the bad blood he created with Platinum.
Yeah. Just so clarification's sake, Ninja Theory is not a Japanese studio, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. I don't think we need to really go deeper into that. I think you answered that pretty well. So let's move on to the next question. This one is from John Christ, who's been in the chat room with us all night, man. By the way, John, don't let these motherfuckers on Twitter get you down, bro. just stay off the Twitter for a while, man. Don't worry about those guys.
What's going on with him?
No, sometimes he gets like really upset with some trolls on Twitter, and he leaves the app for a couple of days and then comes back. It's like just block those guys or mute them, bro. They're just asking.
Don't take that shit so seriously. You don't need to watch that shit. Just stick to your own side. Look for don't pay attention to all that other stuff, because all that's going to do is get you more stress. So.
Yeah, right. Fuck that shit, man. All right.
That's why I don't do that. Shit, I don't look at that.
And John, your question was not long. It's you hit that limit. It's like it's long, but it's not too long, and you explain yourself. You needed context for this, so it's perfectly fine. I'm talking about these guys who write like 5 paragraphs. Like, bro, I'm not trying to read all that shit. What you wrote here was perfect. Okay, he goes, I've been an Xbox guy since the Xbox 360. I enjoyed the PS3, and for the first half of its generation, loved the PS4. But through and through, I've primarily been an Xbox guy using the PlayStation for exclusives. That's not the case this generation. As much as I want to gravitate towards the Series X with its superior home theater support and technical one-ups, I always find myself enjoying the PS experience more on the 5. In your opinion, do you find yourself in the same situation? If so, beyond the game library on PS5, what about the platform itself do you find attracts you over the competition? Interesting question. And remember, not the games. Not talking about the games. See, this one's tough for me because that is the reason I primarily play on PlayStation, the games. I don't buy systems for features. That's stupid. I buy systems for games, Xbox has no. Actually, I can't. I mean, Xbox has no games, but I could play Xbox on my PC, so I'm good there. But PlayStation, it's all about the games, But so I can't really answer because I don't buy a console. Ooh, what features are in this console? I don't care. What games are on the console? That's what I care about, So I know that's a cop-out answer, but that's mine. The games.
Yeah, and we've gone at length how the PlayStation 5 UI is terrible.
Yeah.
It's really not good. Microsoft's, in comparison, like the Xbox Series X, it's pretty much like a rebranding, a slight rebranding of what they already had, but it's still way better than the fucking PS5s. It's still.
Hey, Carlos, let me ask you something.
Oh,
why is it?
No, to you, does it seem like the PlayStation UI is slicker but less useful, less intuitive?
Yeah, it's all of the above. I mean,
what do you think it looks like? Like, I think it looks better. Like, it looks like it should run better. It looks like it should be more impressive. And then you use it, and you're like, ooh,
pleasing in a way.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I agree with that. Microsoft
form, not function.
Yeah, exactly. Because PlayStation doesn't have a quick menu. Microsoft does. The quick menu is fucking amazing. Like, Microsoft's had that for 2 or 3 generations now, where it's like I'm playing a game, I press the home button. It doesn't take. I don't have to go to a separate screen. It's just snaps into it, and you can see your achievements, your friends list.
It's what we had on the PS4.
I was about to say, Carlos, we already had that feature.
Yeah.
It's like,
exactly.
It's like Sony again. I keep repeating this, but it bears repeating. Sony is like they do what every RPG does, right? You get the first installment, your character is fucking beefy and shit, level 100, all the badass armor and shit. The sequel, you get all that shit stripped out. And then you got to rebuild it again. That's what Sony does with every console. PS3, by the end of the PS3 era, we had all these dope-ass features. By the PS4, all that shit got taken out, right? Then the PS4 rebuilt all that shit again, right? Then it was perfect. And then they took it away from PS5, and now they're going to rebuild again. You rebuild of Evangelion.
But that overlay was part of the PS4 off the bat. And that's what a lot of people are like, oh, you took this from...
man, bring back the XMB, man. Let's go.
Just bring it back. Just
XMB, man. PS Vita,
It's been
now PSP, I should say,
Like the PSN store being integrated into the menu is a good improvement. But, like Tony said, they got rid of a whole bunch of other stuff, like folders, like the quick menu, like turning off your console in a quick and easy manner.
Motherfucker.
It's like...
I need 3 PhDs in astrophysics to learn how to turn the PlayStation 5 off. Like, it's serious, bro. Like every time I'm like, well, how do I do this shit again? Because the way you think you should turn it off, that's not the way you do it.
Yeah, and I think it really depends. A lot of us are really, let's just be honest, a lot of us are fucking old. So like even the young ones are old.
Younglings.
Like me and Brian are the young ones, and we're already 30.
Yeah, motherfuckers already got canes and shit,
Yeah, so it's like like we're already kind of molded into the gamer that we're gonna be for the rest of our lives.
Molded.
Carlos.
God, I was waiting for that. You came to gaming. I was born here. Molded by it.
I did not play online gaming until I was a man. So it's like, you see, like we're like for people that are still impressionable by video games, like they're the ones that are still part of this factory, and it's like PlayStation or Microsoft. Do features matter? Do games matter? Does brand loyalty matter? It's all those things they have to take into account, and I think those are the people that are more sort of part of the equation. For me, I stick to the games, and I stick to the tech because I buy everything. So yeah, that's pretty much how I am.
Yo, Carlos, how's that new Tesla, man?
It's good, man.
You buy the tech, right?
Yo, man, buy the tech.
Oh, man. Yo, by the way, this is off topic, but it's still on it. So yesterday, Paris, right, from Gamertag Radio, he posts a picture from Spider-Man, right? Miles Morales. He's like, oh, this game's fucking dope, right? So this one Xbox guy jumps in, and he's like, man, I'm so jealous. I wish I was on Xbox. So another guy comes in, and he's like, hey, you have room to get a PlayStation, And he's like, I can't. I'm too loyal. Bruh.
I saw that. Yeah.
Bruh, you're too loyal to a fucking piece of plastic. I could understand if he said preference, right? No, my man said loyal. And I want to jump in there. I didn't do it. I want to jump in like, yo, my man, is the Xbox loyal to you, though? Oh,
Are
they
loyal to you? They don't care.
Motherfuckers is crazy.
They responded more than...
I'm going to call an episode of Throw It On That. I'm too loyal.
I mean, dude, but that's where my beef with Sony comes in. Is like Microsoft seems like it's trying to reach out, and Sony's sitting on its ivory tower. Like that, in a nutshell, is why why I'm sure some of you guys think that I hate Sony, even though I do most of my gaming on Sony machines for the last 3 generations.
Yeah, no, you're right, Brett, and that's first place syndrome, like you mentioned, and
first place syndrome.
And check this out. Nintendo, even when they're failing, they're on this fucking ivory tower.
That is true.
Oh, yeah. Our fucking Wii U system failed. Let's release a portable that doesn't have voice chat. Like they all fucking do it. If Microsoft and Xbox was in first place, they wouldn't change a lick of things. They're just stay the same, keep doing what they're doing, ride the course, status quo, keep the line. That's all they do, because then they wait for the sign of weakness where they could potentially lose money, and that's when they change things.
That's when the big changes come along. When finally it gets so loud that people being so annoyed about it gets so bad that it starts to affect their bottom line. When they're what do they call it? Their investors go, hey, what about these things called loot boxes? That's when the shit hits the fan, and that's when changes happen.
Yeah, see right here, I want to read this from Logic Wins. This is what I'm talking about right here, man. He goes, if Yakuza was still a PlayStation exclusive, I would have gotten a PS5. See, you're loyal to the games, man. That's what it's about. You go where the games go. That's how it should be, you know? By the way, John, I know we didn't exactly answer your question, but that's a tricky one because I think I'm speaking for the panel here where we don't buy consoles for features. We buy consoles for games, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it just, for me, like I'm probably the only one that has mostly been strictly Sony stuff. But again, that can easily change. If Xbox offered something that offered something that I was purely interested in, then yeah, I would pick that one up.
Yeah,
and that would be my thing.
And by change, you mean you have an Xbox? Because obviously, you're not going to throw your PlayStation away. You know, you're
I'm not going to throw the PlayStation away.
You're not loyal to it.
If anything, I would be owning both of them.
That's how it should be. Brett, get in here,
Tony.
bro.
I think you hit the nail on the head, though.
Yeah.
Like, do you think I bought my Xbox for the games?
No, you bought the Xbox because you want to have it all, right?
No, I bought the Xbox. Well, yes, but the Xbox was in the race because I like the not the specs of the machine. I like all the technical points of the machine. I like what it does. I like how it runs, and I think it has a lot of potential. Plus, I like Game Pass.
Yeah, there you go. Man.
For me, it was one of those like I want access to Game Pass, and my old Xbox is pretty much dying. But there are people, myself included, who have bought for features in the sense that like, oh well, it's like buying a car based off of the technical specs. You're like, oh, okay, so this has like 500 horsepower. It's lightweight. It's got the front wheel drive. So this should be a great drifting car, in theory, right? You don't know because you can't take it out on the track yet. And in this metaphor, they're still making the tracks. They haven't released any tracks yet. So you're sitting there with a car and you're like, I mean, it should be able to do this as soon as I get a track to do it on. So, and I think a lot of other than loyalty, I think a lot of the reason the Xbox sold is because the specs of the machine. And having gotten it and, have both, I'm still impressed by the machine. If you ask me side by side, which is the better build in terms of quality, Microsoft by leaps and bounds. Now, that could be colored by the fact that I'm apparently really insanely unlucky. I'm the only one having half of these problems.
Yeah, you're the only one having all these PlayStation problems. But I do agree with you that the Xbox Series X is, and this is a personal thing, is aesthetically more pleasing than the PlayStation 5. I'm sorry, the PlayStation 5 looks fucking weird. And it's just cumbersome, It's like, Xbox is a box. That's what I need my systems to be, just a box,
Yeah, but man, it runs better. Like, it turns on quicker, it's quieter.
Quiet. That's the great. My PlayStation is quiet unless I put a disc in. Then it's
yeah. Well, I don't mean like standard baseline quiet. That's the thing that surprised me. Like I'm used to you're like, oh yeah, man, that thing's quiet. I can barely hear the fans. And then I got the Xbox, and I had the same problem with my TV when I got my new Samsung TV. Like the blacks are too black, so I'll go out, I'll turn it on, and it'll just turn off. I'm like, fuck, it was on. I kind of have that problem with my Xbox. I'll be like, is it on? And you like have to like go over and put your ear to it and tap it and just listen. Like it's one of those like, oh shit, is grandma still alive kind of things.
Oh shit.
So this shit just got dark.
What's that?
This shit just got dark.
Put your hand over her mouth. Is she still breathing, man?
Yeah,
listen, I've had to do that with some relatives. Like, this motherfucker's still alive. Oh man.
So, yeah, I've been really impressed with the quality of the engineering on the box itself. I have yet to be able to let it loose and see what it can do, though. And I think that's a fair reason to buy a console, especially if you find yourself wanting to go by specs but not wanting to own a PC. When I say that out loud, that's probably very few people.
Oh, Brett, I think John Christ has you beat, man, as far as PlayStation 5 problems.
Oh, shit.
He said,
really?
He said, had to send my PS5 in for repairs. The console was smoking.
Oh, shit.
Oh, wow. Or smoking or smoked. Because if it bricked, that's bad, too. Brett's is still working at least.
Yeah, I want to know if it caught fire, man.
Yeah,
That's
clarify smoke, by the way, because I'm curious. I'm very concerned right now. Like, did it die or did actual smoke come out of the motherfucker?
He says just sucks smelling that fine silicone smell. I'm guessing the capacitor blew up or something.
So the board burned out.
Yeah, he says I heard a pop, smell the smoke, saw the puff. Oh shit!
Oh, that's definitely a capacitor. Yeah, that shit. Damn.
Yeah, I've seen a PC do that.
Yeah. All right, Brett.
Yeah,
He has you
a
beat.
TV do that.
He has
Mushroom
you beat.
cloud
Brett.
in the back
Your
of it.
Shelly still works. Fuck. Sorry about that, man. Oh, by the way, I want to read one quick comment from him, and then we'll move on. Since he is the one that asked this question, he goes, "I often feel." Remember, he's traditionally an Xbox guy saying this stuff. You know, he goes, I totally get you guys' answers. I was just curious what other games drives your primary platforms. Like I said, trophies are cathartic for me, and share play is awesome. I often feel like Sony does stuff to make me want to use their box more, like the news when you pop up the front and center, and the jingles and the trophies. So little things. Again, those little things are cool, but that's not why I buy a system, man.
I never.
I don't really care about that shit.
It's usually a game console first, and everything else comes second. Hey, it plays Netflix too. Okay, sure.
Yeah, it's like the deal's nice, the UI is nice, like that stuff's cool, but
yeah,
it's all about games, man. It's all about games.
If for example, if everything was equal and the Xbox had voice chat and the PlayStation didn't have voice chat, I would choose the Xbox.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, for real, because that's necessary.
How are we gonna play Monster Hunter, man?
Yeah. Well, that's why we're not playing Rise. You know, we're like, fuck that shit. You know.
Yeah.
Also, it's a subpar game.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that. You know, I'm not trying to go back to those old school Monster Hunter games, man. I'm on unless it says World 2. I don't care about Monster Hunter. It has to say World 2. I don't care. Or Iceborne 2. Let's go.
Oh god, you know it's got to be coming. You know, Capcom is not just sitting on their hands on this one.
Yeah, I think that's one of their best-selling games, if not their best-selling game of all time. It's coming. You know.
Yeah, dude, I love the fact that it's like Capcom is kind of split, right? So you have Capcom Gaming Division, and then you have Capcom Monster Hunter Division, which is run by the guy's brother. And so, like, Capcom at the time, especially releasing of Monster Hunter, like, Capcom was just swinging and missing. They were just going down in flames. And Monster Hunter fucking... It's like getting showed up by your brother-in-law. It's just fucking hilarious.
Yeah, we benefit, man. All right, let us move on to the next question. Oh, by the way, John, you asked us, you know, what comic book or show or whatever we want to turn to a game, but we've answered that in the past, so we will not be answering that again. All right, next up, we got Black Metal Gamer. His first question is actually not for this show. This is an AMA type of question. He just asked us what Google features that failed did we want to see, but that's for AMA, so I'll say that for the AMA show. All right, so his gaming question is Nintendo once again becoming lazy like it did after the initial years of the Wii and the Wii U? Talk about the Switch. Switch doesn't really have it. It's just ports now. So maybe he's talking about that. You know, Chris, why don't you get here, our Nintendo resident Nintendo expert?
You know, I don't know about lazy. There's just a certain amount of incompetence that seems to be happening. I'd say that over lazy, because I'm not sure. Okay, how is it that you go back to E3 2017 and they announced Bayonetta 3 and Metroid Prime 4, and how is these two separate games? One is a Sega game and the other one is a Nintendo game. How could those two games be such an amazing clusterfuck that one of them has now gone back to formula, needs to be redone, and the other one is complete vaporware? Like, how does that happen, right? How do you have a Zelda game that's done and you're making a sequel off of the same freaking engine, and it takes as long to make that one as it does to make a brand new one? Like, what is happening there? You know? So I wouldn't say it's lazy, but there's some sort of mismanagement or competence going on that they can't get their ducks lined up to make this work. I don't know.
Chris, I have a theory.
Oh, okay. What's your theory?
That there's a bit of a communication block because Nintendo only communicates with its fans via carrier pigeon.
There you go. I agree with that theory. I agree. With
all their news is all the news they get is way old and very ambiguous. after the fucking the Wii, they sent out one and it just came back like controllers, play anywhere, and they're like, oh cool, they built a system off that. Failed.
And so, where it's like, I wouldn't say like they're not trying, because they are, right? They have so much stuff that's supposedly in development. But where is it? Like, why? And I know games take a long time, but this is an inordinate amount of time. And this is from the company. Remember, back when Reggie was still there, he said that it was bad for game companies to announce games way ahead of time and not have them released.
Yeah, look at him now.
Well, motherfucker, you already have 3 like that, And he's not there anymore. He dumped that on Doug Bowser's lap. Okay, well now that's his problem. What is going on with this? You have zero transparency. You had the first direct in over a year since the last one to tell fans what's happening, and that was lackluster. That's being kind. I think it's bullshit. But and so I don't know. But to say they're lazy, no, I wouldn't say that.
All right. What about the rest? Yeah. What about the rest of you guys? You think Nintendo's becoming lazy or complacent?
No, they're pretty much the same way they've always have been, with the exception of that, announcing games too early.
You mean lazy and complacent?
Yeah. Yeah. So the answer is yes then. But it haven't changed. Nintendo's being.
They haven't become. They haven't become.
Well, it's not complacent because like like Carlos said before, like these are the guys, like, doesn't matter, rain or shine, they don't give you discounts, they don't care what fans think. I wouldn't call that either lazy or complacent. There's a mad amount of hubris that Nintendo has and will continue to all through their history. They think they're king of the mountain. Whether that's true or false at any point in time doesn't matter to them. They just act like it.
Yeah.
So there's no complacency. The fact that they haven't discounted Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, even though it came out 5 years ago, and it's a port of a game that came out like 9 years ago, it doesn't matter to them. That would have happened if the Switch had bombed. They would do that shit.
That is true. Yeah, Nintendo's just being Nintendo. That's all it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right, move on to the next question. Also about Nintendo. This one is
real quick. I want to say, I may talk shit when Sony does it. I want you all to understand. This is coming from the guy who predicted the Switch was gonna kick off. I fucking hate that Nintendo is currently in that. They have their first place blinders on. Like they are worse than Sony. Sony is sitting back on its laurels. Don't get me wrong, and I never liked that. But this whole thing started with Nintendo. My origin story of hating people sitting on their heels started with fucking Nintendo for fucking years, all the way back to fucking Mortal Kombat. Like, what, you're not gonna put blood on it? Like, everybody wants blood. You're not gonna fucking put it on an option on there? Nope. Nintendo says go fuck yourself. Nintendo's been telling me to fuck myself since I was 9 years old. Probably longer.
Oh man, yeah, Nintendo sucks. All right.
But I also love them, but I hate them.
Hey, Brett, think about this. This year is Zelda's 35th anniversary. What have they done? What are they doing? Fans have made so much stuff online, and what have they done? They haven't even said anything. Oh, there was a throwaway line during the Direct that was the 35th anniversary. That's a big deal. They haven't done shit.
Damn. That means it's coming up in a little while on my 35th year of gaming. Well, that'll be next year. But still, ouch.
Nintendo. All right, move on, man. Next question is also about Nintendo. Now, this one is from an interesting character. I always see him on Twitter. He minds his business most of the time. He puts out a lot of tweets, right? People always go crazy. You may know him. Handsome fella. Name of Death.
Man, Death.
So he has a question. This one is mostly for Chris, but everybody can jump in too. Simple question too. I like the way this guy writes. Very succinct and to the point. Will Breath of the Wild 2 release in 2021? And Chris, there's something you wanted to bring up on the last show.
Yes. I was going over so much, and I had forgotten because I had to do the dig that Aonuma trolled everybody, and I read exactly what he said in the thing. But one of the interesting things he said in there, and I didn't go back to it, was he said that there would be news about Zelda later this year, and I found that very interesting because when I had to listen to the um, his speech again for the show when I was preparing for the show, then I was like, wait a minute, why did he say that? He said later this year. He could have said look forward to. They're always about seasons. Like whenever Nintendo says they have news, it's like, oh, look for something in spring, summer, fall. They'll use a season, right? So you have a general area of time. He didn't say that with Breath of the Wild 2. He said look forward to news later this year. And I was like, that's troubling. That tells me something that this game, and then he immediately qualified it by saying development is moving smoothly. So that told me two things. Yay, last year development was not smooth, probably because of the Rona. And two, since you have news later this year, you have no idea when you're going to have news about the game or something to show, which tells me that this game ain't launching this year. They're not going to have it ready for holiday 2021, which is that's a huge deal. I'm like, God damn, you can't have this game ready this for this holiday? That I don't know what their holiday game is this year or what their big release is, but you can't hit for the 35th anniversary of Zelda. You're gonna only have a port of Skyward Sword. All right, so that's number one. Number two, when I think it is coming out, they're gonna try to full steam it ahead and get it out beginning or mid-March next year, so they can have it out right before their fiscal year closes, so they can have some numbers on the report for Breath of the Wild 2. So that's my prediction based on what he said. I just found it very interesting. He didn't say, "Oh, we'll have some news this spring," because spring is a while, right? No, summer. He didn't say that either. Summer's when Skyward Sword is coming out. So you'd think, right? Like, oh, we'll have news with Skyward Sword. We're gonna have news about Breath of the Wild 2. No, he didn't say that either. Later this year. That tells me there's some problems.
You're not going to see two Zelda games, big Zelda games, come out in the same year. No way. No way.
Yeah.
Well, dude, they're not further along. Like, when they say that they have news, like, it's... They would say that they have the game. Keep in mind, we live in a world where we're going to get a preview about the news, about the announcement of a game.
The announcement of an announcement.
Yeah. So we're going to... If they say, like, we'll have news later this year, it's like, yeah, they're breadcrumbing you, man. They're not going to have a game later this year. If they say we have news this year, that means the game comes next year. Because, yeah, they're announcing news later this year. How fucking retarded... How did we get to this point?
It's been like that for a while. We could blame. I thank Kojima for that, man. He popularized announcement of announcement back in the 2000s. You know.
God.
So there you go.
We're gonna have news about a game.
Square Enix as well. They did that too hard. You know. We have an announcement of an announcement.
At least it lets you know how far out a game is a little bit more now, though. Because yeah, they're like, we have an announcement about some news later this year. You're like, well, that game's not coming.
You know. I just hope that Nintendo breaks the cycle and this game doesn't release on the Switch and Switch 2 simultaneously. That happens with every Zelda game. Every major Zelda game has happened. Like it was like 3 in a row now, right, Chris? 3 Zelda games in a row. It was like we had one that was on
Twilight
Wii.
Princess and Breath of the Wild was the second one.
All right, so 2 of them. Yeah, so
yeah.
They need to
I mean, how long has Switch been out?
Switch has been out since
2017.
Yeah.
Okay, so when do you guys think we're
Breath
going to
of the Wild launched on Wii U at the same time.
Yeah. People forget that.
Do you guys think I'm going to hijack and ask a question real quick. Do you guys think when do you think we're going to see news about the successor of the Switch?
It's a good question because here's the thing. The Switch is doing so well right now. Nintendo's have to now shit for a long time.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know because generally Nintendo has a short lifespan on their systems, but a really long lifespan on their handhelds. So this being a hybrid, this thing could be, the next DS and just be out for fucking ever.
Could be.
Or it could be the Wii U.
I don't think it's going to be the Wii U because this thing's actually successful.
I don't either, but they keep talking about, the Gamosphere keeps talking about upgrading the damn Switch. Now,
These motherfuckers have been fan talk. Yeah, it's fan talk. They've been talking about that literally since the Switch came out. They've been talking about that. I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah, but
you know,
but it shows there's a desire for a follow up. So like I'm kind of I'm split. I'm like, you know, the audience probably wouldn't be happy, but a lot of them are begging for it.
Hey, Brett. Does Nintendo care?
No,
we
Nintendo
talked about
never
last
cares.
segment.
Wait. Nintendo cares about money.
They do, but they're making so much money right now.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? They're good on that end, you know?
Yep, settle in, boys and girls. We'll probably live another 7 years of this.
Yep, I would not be surprised if the Switch lasts for 10 years. I wouldn't put it past Nintendo. I really wouldn't, you know? And you know,
so
I wouldn't put it past...
Yeah, go ahead. You wouldn't put...
How many generations technically? Well, not technically. I'll say it's bullshit that the Switch got a mulligan.
Yeah, I got
two
consoles in one gen and get the shit out of it, man.
That was bullshit. But now what are they? 3 gens behind because of the mulligan they got?
Yeah.
Over?
Yeah, they're 3 generation. It is a 3 generation because we had a segment about this a long time ago where we were asked. I think it was Riku that asked us like, "What generation do you think the Switch belongs to?" And I said it belongs to the PS3 gen. So that's like 2 gens.
See, you guys are going by consoles though. You could also judge it by handhelds. Here's an idea though. Yeah. What if Nintendo released a new base system and just relegated Switch to what the DS was?
They could, but I don't think they're going to do that. They have no. They have no reason to release a new console or anything like new hardware at the moment. They're doing so well with the Switch.
Okay, it leads me to one more question, and I'm sorry if I hijack your shit.
That's all good. We got to keep this segment going. I'm making this a TD clip, so keep it going.
Yeah, okay. Do you think that Nintendo's next console will be a dockable system?
Yes.
I mean, they've had such success with this, but Nintendo has a history of walking away from good ideas.
They only walk away from good ideas when they stop working.
When they stop working, yeah, they're going to do it again. Yeah.
No, yeah, they walk away from good ideas when they don't sell. Mm-hmm. Like the Wii. I mean, no, the Wii wasn't.
They didn't take another stab at a Virtual Boy. You know what I mean? You know, because it's true.
Well, think about it. They kept motion controls. Motion controls. Yeah,
they kept motion controls, and there was multiple DSs. So
the next I don't know what they're going to call it. Then it will be dockable for sure. I fully believe that.
Yeah, I mean the Switch is in line to sell over 100 million consoles. They are gonna. This is gonna be the new 3DS. The 3DS lasted for fucking ever. It's like 3DS. It was like DS, 3DS, 3DS XL. You know, there's so many fucking iterations. 2DS. There are so many iterations, and the Switch is going to be nothing different. It's going to be the Switch, and then it's going to be like Switch
Pro or something. Yeah, they'll extend its life with a Pro version.
Yeah, exactly.
The Switch XL.
The Switch XL. That's right. It's going to be even bigger Switch. You know,
dude, they'd be better off selling that dock that supplements the power.
Yeah, we've been talking about that for. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if the dock actually gave more power? But again, Nintendo, they don't listen to us, man.
They don't like good ideas.
Yeah, no, they don't. That's why I can't stand that fucking company, man. I'm just being honest, man. You know, I can't stand Nintendo. I really can't.
They're charging you $90 for an HDMI port and a USB-C power converter right now.
You guys know
need a base that actually had anything useful in it.
You guys know I don't like the term, anti-consumer. I don't like that term, but I'm very tempted to use that sometimes with Nintendo. Just saying.
Dude, I gotta say, this is the one leg that I really love the Xbox for. Because I look at Sony does the same thing. Like I've bought old games, and if they're not quote unquote on sale, they're like $40 for a $60 game, like 5 years later. So like I look at fucking Nintendo, and I'm like, stop selling old games for full price. And I look at PlayStation, I'm like, stop selling games for $70. And I look at Microsoft, I'm like, keep giving away games for free. I do like that.
Well, also Microsoft, I have to give them credit. They don't hate their fans.
No, they don't.
Like
Nintendo does hate their fans.
Back in the day,
the world that we live in, that we have to say that statement.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm serious because like you look at the FGC, you look at like the Killer Instinct community. When Microsoft saw that they were doing grassroots stuff and they were going to put up money, you know what Microsoft did? They funded the guys who did that. They're like, we'll pay for that and we'll add to your pot. You know what Nintendo does? They pull out their lawyers and threaten to sue you. Yep. So the guys who try to do that with Smash Brothers.
Nintendo. I'm going to say this right now, man. I may get in trouble. I think the hardcore Nintendo fans, they must be having like Stockholm syndrome, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you be loyal to that stupid ass company? You know?
I can tell you right now, it's nostalgia combined with children.
Oh my
like,
god!
You have good memories of Nintendo. You want to share those with your kids. That's why they get all of these mainline franchises. Like, man, you loved Mario, so you want to pass on Mario and have your kids love Mario. Like, I'll be fucking honest, man. Mario alone as a mascot, without legacy, does not have the fucking legs to be a current mascot. That shit came out in a weird time. If you came out now, you're like, hey, we got a short, fat Italian as our mascot. Shit would not fly.
No,
even if it did fly, nobody would be interested. They'd be like, all right, like, even like, okay, so there's a fat Italian plumber and his magic hat. Like, what the fuck is this game?
Because it's made by a bunch of Japanese people. How dare you?
Yeah, I was about to say, is he a? I was about to say, I'll stop. I was going to get us in trouble right now.
You can't do that,
man. All right, let's move on. Oh man. All right, what are we answering right now? Okay, so this question, we were asked this question last week, but the only two guys on the panel that actually played this franchise were not on, Chris and Brian, so we couldn't answer the question. So we're going to bring it back, and this is specifically for Brian and Chris. All right, this is from Villa Kyle. Okay.
And are you there?
Yeah, Brian's right there. He's chilling,
Yeah, I mean, he's there.
And Brian, I want you to start. You go first, and then Chris jumps in. Okay, what should a modern day Syphon Filter be like? Would you remake the series or create a new story? How would it set itself apart from current titles in the military shooter genre?
Okay, that's a question.
I played Syphon Filter.
Oh, Oh, yeah, that's right, Brett. You were quiet last week because were having issues. Okay, so all three of you guys take it away. Yeah. The rest of us were like, yo, we don't play this fucking games. We're like, hey, Brett, are you there? Hey, so Brett, jump in too, man. Brian, if you need time, Brett could go first.
Yeah, Brett, you go first because I need some time.
Okay. Syphon Filter to me always had a lot more strategy to it than its counterparts. There was a lot of stealth in Metal Gear and that kind of thing, but it almost gave me a Hitman-esque vibe, and so I would imagine you'd kind of branch into that kind of feeling, really tackle on espionage, not military shooter, because Syphon Filter always really seemed to be more spy than anything else, which was the thing that set it aside for me. Everything else is, you're a synthetic weapon, or you're fucking Project Metal Gear, or you're the world's greatest run and gun motherfucker. Like that was really about technical prowess. It wasn't about stealth killing the guards. It was about weaving your way through the guards. It wasn't about seeing how long you could go until you get caught and then murdering everybody. It was trying to exploit things like line of sight and guard pathing and things like that. So I imagine today it would set itself aside by the same methods that Hitman sets itself aside, really leaning into the story, the technical issues of what each stage is going to have, and probably a whole new bag of espionage tools, because that shit's dated now. Like, ooh, you've got night vision. Nobody fucking cares.
All right, Chris, what about you?
I agree. I kind of agree with the Hitman analogy, but I don't know. I wouldn't remake it though. I would say continue it. I would like to see what happened. Was Dark Mirror the last one? That was the last one I tried. But,
I think it was.
Yeah, that was on PSP. I would say continue the story. I mean, you could even if you want to introduce, you could do like the soft reboot. You could have a new main character, and maybe the other guy, instead of doing like Sam Fisher, like he's 100 and he's still like, oh, you're the Splinter Cell Sam. You got to do. No, you could just say that guy went bad, and you introduce a new character and continue it from there. And maybe expand the game. Maybe you have to travel around the world to solve stuff, and like Brett said, you have the strategy, so you have some of the stealth factors, but don't ape Metal Gear and do it. Maybe do it more like Hitman, where you could disguise yourself, or you have to infiltrate some rogue group to find out where the virus is or whatever. Oh, you could do interesting stuff like that. And I wouldn't say reboot it altogether where you start over from scratch and the other games didn't happen. Don't do that.
All right.
No, I agree with that. I do want to say though, like the difference between a lot of the things is like I would love to see in terms of that espionage thing, like a mission much like Hitman, where you got to go into a party, disguise yourself, meet a dignitary, shake hands with him so that you can impress like his fingerprint into like a custom thing that you have, and then go use that fingerprint to turn into another thing to get a door to blah 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 blah. So like I've been watching too much of this show called Spycraft on Netflix. I don't know if any of you watched it, but it's actually really fucking interesting, and it makes me kind of be like, yeah, dude, like they do all kinds of weird shit, planting microphones and gathering samples and collecting DNA and shit like that. Like that would be a great, the spy versus spy genre isn't done enough.
All right, Brian.
Okay. I actually quite agree with it with what Brett said. And I kind of like Chris' idea where you kind of reboot it, but make it like a continuation. So it's like passing on off the torch. So that way, anyone who's not aware of the franchise, they have a place to start from. And those of us who are aware of the franchise, we can say, okay, we know more of the history going into this, so we can come in with like fresh eyes. But I was thinking something more like Splinter Cell. Which one's the one that everyone hated? There's that one. Was it Conviction?
Was it Conviction? I don't know.
I like that one.
I think on the 360.
Signs on the walls? Was it
Yes.
Blackout or something like that? Blackout.
I don't remember this name.
I thought people liked that game.
I thought people hated it. The one that Torrance hated.
Well, I don't know.
Torrance is a unique.
Torrance. Yeah, he's a weird character, man.
I say something along the lines of that, so that way you can still keep it quite fast-paced and still have the stealth in there at times, but also focus. Well, I say focus. Incorporates gadgets into it, so it's not just you go around punching things for 12 hours. It's like, okay, you can use your gadgets, set up traps, like electrify walls, set fire to stuff as distractions. Again, kind of have like a sort of Home Alone type vibe where the idea isn't just like just punch people. It's like, okay, you now have all these gadgets, now use them in ways to make things happen. So kind of like Breath of the Wild puzzles, where it's like, okay, here are your base set of tools. Now, how do you use these tools in this environment to reach your goal? Like, do you set fire for something, or do you set up a fire alarm? I don't know.
Brian, you're talking about bringing like Tecmo's deception mechanics into this shit.
Yeah. Why
Wow,
not?
that sounds awesome. I would be 100% on board with that.
By the way, Splinter Cell Conviction was generally well received.
I like that game.
That's the one that's like 24.
Yeah.
Talking about Blackout.
That's the one I always wanted to play that one too. But
Yeah,
the
that's
Xbox
360 one,
That
I
shit
think.
looked dope. Yeah, all
Yeah,
right.
so that's what I think should happen, because then all the ADHD people can they can still play the game because it's still action paced. But then also those of us who have brains like to think things through, then we can still have fun. Best of both worlds.
There you go. Good stuff. All right, moving on here. Next question. This one also from Mr. Mob Hits. All right. Do games need co-op as a way to have replay value? Not every game needs co-op though.
Yeah.
No,
Not every game needs co-op.
you can have plenty of replay value. I think replay value goes into two main things. One, it's based on the person playing the game, and two, it's based on what and how the game works. Like, what are the mechanics of the game? One example that I'll bring up all the time because I've played this game way too many times. Need for Speed Most Wanted. No, not that one. The other one.
Need for Speed Most Wanted.
Like
Interesting.
2004, 2005 version. The one
I
by
love
Black
that
Box.
game.
Yeah, the PS2 one, Xbox One. That game. I played that game so many times because I always had some sort of weird goal in mind. And it wasn't all the challenges that the game had. It was goals that I would impart on myself. So I'd say, like, okay, I'm going to try and get, like, Wanted for, like, half an hour. See what happens. Or I'm going to go through and smash all the pursuit breakers in one pursuit without duplicating them. So I created my own replay value, even though that technically I had finished the game, I had unlocked all the parts, I had maxed out everything, but I still wanted to play around with the game. So I think if your game incorporates some form of playground in there, then you get natural replay value.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it's more nuanced than the question kind of gives credit for.
Well, nuance it up then, man.
It kind of feels like saying, like, does a cake need to have icing to be able to eat the next day? Like, it's just one of those, like, yes, multiplayer helps the game have replayability, but it's not the only way to have replayability. Excuse me, co-op. Co-op's a form of multiplayer.
Yeah, I know, but we're talking about that specific type of multiplayer for this question. Yeah.
Okay, I will say that, any type of multiplayer, but since we're talking about co-op, like, yes, co-op definitely has a replayability factor because there's this whole thing about showing your friends. It's you watch a movie that you really like, you want to show it to your friends and see their reaction. We're social animals, and so people will go through things multiple times. Like, fuck, man, like, I still can't wait to go and play Demon Souls again. Not just because I love Demon Souls, but I want to watch Carlos's reaction to shit. So, like, it's fun playing.
Good idea.
It's fun playing Monster Hunter, right? It's fun taking out a Diablos, but then after you take it out, you're like, I wonder how many times Chris is gonna Carlos is gonna damn on this one.
The 57.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of sharing something makes it almost new to you, and it's not just so that the other person can enjoy it. It's not so you can see the other person enjoy it. You kind of see it through their eyes, and that sparks that bit of you that played it, and you kind of remember how it felt the first time. So, yeah, I would say that Chris was one of the reasons that you love Demon Souls and running people through it so much. I mean, yes, it's awesome. Yes, it's a great game, and yes, it's satisfying one-shotting things. But isn't it at least a little bit about remembering your first time through?
Oh yeah. I mean, I enjoy that, and I enjoy the. So that's a good example of co-op and helping people and stuff. But I also went through it multiple times to be like, oh, I got to find this thing or craft this other thing, and now I need these parts, and I can only go into New Game Plus to fight this guy and do this way, so I can get that thing. Yeah, I mean, that's a good example of both. I think satisfying both conditions, where it's like, oh, the co-op makes it replayable, but also you could just enjoy it and play it over again.
Yeah, there's all kinds of replayability. For me, at least, it's, hey, look, this game has replayability. Oh, look, it's multiplayer. That kind of gives me a reason to do a lot of the replayability. I mean, what's the point of finding that special version of a weapon unless I can take it to somebody else's world and wampus them in the face? Or, one-shot a boss in multi-air and co-op, so you can show up and be like, check out how fucking strong this guy is. Like, it just gives context to your accomplishments. And I think that, at least for me and some people like me, that alone will give you replayability. I spent 60 hours trying to get a sword in a multiplayer game. In a single-player game, I'll be like, I'll spend 5 hours trying to get, like, you know what, fuck this. I'm just murdering people anyway. What do I need to murder them half a second faster? Then again, I'm the guy that never spends my skill points, and when people ask me why, I'll be like, oh, I don't need them. So, like, the only time I want to be as powerful as humanly possible is when it somehow involves other players, either versus or co-op. Because then I just want to be like, yeah, let me just see how crazy I can get to see how crazy I can get. But in, like, Assassin's Creed, like, am I going to try and run for Excalibur? Fucking why? I'm beating the shit out of, dozens of people at a time with a stick and a hammer. I'm good. All of a sudden, you open that into multiplayer. Yeah, I'm going to find Excalibur because I want to show that shit off.
I think that's the sword I ended up running with, too, Excalibur. This thing's fucking badass. Plus, I need it for, part of platinum.
I mean, how many of us have gotten a Monster Hunter weapon just to flex?
I haven't.
Because it's.
I don't. Be bad. I get whatever's.
Yeah. You're not that person. But, like, I could have run through that whole game with one normal damage insect glaive. Do I want to? No. I want to be able to flex and have the best, most awesome weapon anybody has.
All right, let's move on. to the next question. And this one is also kind of related to the last one. I'm noticing a theme here. Or maybe somebody just put these questions in a certain way. Wonder who did that.
like edited?
Yeah, right. Who's up with that, man? Yo, by the way, if I didn't edit some of these questions, boy, we'd be like, what the fuck are they asking, man?
Editing, what a concept.
Yeah. All right. So this is a new name, by the way. Never heard this name before. I'm being very serious right now. Fanatic TWMS. So thank you and welcome. We welcome you to the throwdown, man. This one is pretty kind of interesting. Are multiplayer maps becoming too big? I want to know what the context is because I don't play a lot of multiplayer. So is this a problem that's going on now?
I kind of know what he means.
I mean, here's the thing. There's a lot of multiplayer maps that start really big, but every couple of minutes they get smaller and smaller and smaller.
You know?
Nah,
and then it's just a room by the end, man. And then Ninja shows up and Thanos. Like, it's crazy, man.
Yo, man, that
more players you add, the larger they have to be.
Exactly.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
It depends. Like, if it's like all these, Fall Guys type, Apex Legends.
It's coming to Xbox. It's coming to Xbox.
It's all coming to Xbox, man. Like, they all have big maps because there's just a large amount of people all playing at the same time in the same game. So, Call of Duty doesn't really have big maps because they kind of keep it consistent.
Like 5-6 people, and so they kept it small. I was like,
yeah,
have a large space.
So if games are going towards the way where a lot of these battle royales where it's like hundreds of people or dozens of people playing at the same time in the same game, maps are only going to get bigger, and with connectivity is getting better. Back then, imagine having 100 people in a peer-to-peer system back in the day. Now it's like they're all dedicated servers. They're all fast as hell. People have faster internet. So it's just logical for these maps to get more bigger because a lot of more people are going to play it. Mag was ahead of its time.
It was. I was about to bring that up. Yeah.
Yep. Shout out to Brian.
Yeah. By the way, I like the term "more bigger" because you can just say bigger. You don't need more in there.
I enjoyed that, Tony.
Yeah, I like. Well, you can say more bigger though. You can say more bigger.
Well, if I said that, it's because I said more, and then I try to think about what the hell it was gonna implement. Yeah. I'm like, okay, the maps are gonna get bigger, more bigger.
Yeah, more big. I like that. Yo, but it's more bigger. It's like what the hip hop gamer would say. Yo, it's more bigger. Big. Brett, you said you kind of understand what he's coming from with the question about big maps.
I think so. I don't think he's talking about battle royale games. He might be talking about like Call of Duty type games with very large arenas. To which I'll say, I don't really know. They're all over the place. If he's talking about what I think he might be talking about through my own perception, things like GTA Online or Fallout. Fallout 76 is probably the best example I can think of. The map is huge, and it's multiplayer, and that creates a problem where the map is so big that you just rarely encounter people. GTA had this problem too when it went from 16 to 30 players. What was the original player count?
For what?
Per server in GTA Online.
Oh shit, I don't remember.
I think it was like 16 and then it went to 30. What I do remember is when GTA Online first came out, there wasn't enough player count for the size of the map. And so that's at least where I'm going to take the question, or the way that I'm going to take it. And so my answer is going to be not necessarily that the maps need to be smaller, but the player count inside the maps needs to be larger. And that goes across pretty much a lot of the different genres that I could be talking about. But like you said, MAG was ahead of its time. I don't want a small corridor arena multiplayer game, even in deathmatch. Although sometimes I do. I mean, that's basically what Gears is. One of the reasons we all love Gears. It's like if you made killing a sport. But for the rest of them, and for the maps that don't, if you're talking about Battle Royale, no, the map shouldn't be smaller. You should just add more people. If you're talking about GTA, no, the map shouldn't be smaller. You should just add more people. And if you're talking about Fallout, map shouldn't be smaller. You should just add more people. And I think That's the thing. Because the problem is a lot of times there's too far to go to pick up this weapon, or there's too far to go to find an opponent or an ally or something like that, and that could all be changed by more player count, better game design.
All right, what about the rest of you guys? Are multiplayer maps becoming too big, or becoming
more better
bigger?
Game design?
Yeah, more better. Yeah, more better. You got it. Yeah, there you go.
I'm biggened.
Yo, it's more better.
We need to make Throwdown a sticker that says "more bigger, more better."
Yeah, more. Oh, dude, I like that. More bigger, more better. Everybody's gonna read us. These motherfuckers retarded.
I can't comment to this question either because I don't really play multiplayer games, so or online multiplayer games. So yeah, my guess is that my guess is with Adam, what Adam said. The more people that you put on there, the larger the level, right?
I mean, there's always been big ones. I remember that company and that conquest mode. That fucking map was huge, and if you died, it threw you all the way in the back, and you had to traverse through the land. You had to get on a jet ski, go across. Hopefully, you don't get eaten by a shark. It was fucking nuts. And people bitched about it. So then they're like, all right, well, we're not going to do that much. Not those type of large maps anymore. And they started shrinking them down. And then next, Call of Duty jumps into that game. And now we have big maps. But it's just to fill all the people. If you have let's say you had 32 players and then you put them in a small map, a traditional Call of Duty map, they're going to be bumping into each other. It's going to be a mess. So you need the bigger maps.
Yeah.
It all depends on the game mode that you play. That's the bottom line. So.
All right. Moving on here. Next one is from our boy Ronan. All right. He goes, pick a game company and a decision they made that you think was not helpful to one of their franchises. Example, I'm finishing Valkyria Chronicles 4, and I really think Sega made a mistake by having 2 and 3 be portable titles. So yeah, what's a game company that seriously ruined one of their franchises with a stupid decision?
Konami outsourcing the Silent Hills games after The Room.
Oh shit.
Yep. Those last 3 Silent Hills games. Go ahead.
Kept going on all those microtransactions for fucking players, characters that we had originally, and then trying to double dip. And it's like, oh, pay for these guys. Like, why aren't they in the game? They were in all the other ones. Yeah, not this time. Pay for it. That was dumb. That was real dumb.
See, I want to say, Dead Space 3 having microtransactions, but the bigger mistake was killing Volition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah, but it's got to be a game and a developer. I still got to think about this one. Chris, you have anything?
Yo, how they treated Kojima?
Oh,
you said an ended developer or just a game?
Like pick a game and how the developer screwed it over, or pick a developer and how they screwed up one of their franchises.
Yeah, I'll stick with mine. That's Street Fighter.
Right, Street Fighter 5, right?
Yeah, because like I said, there were so many of the characters that were there, like Guile and all them, and like, you got to pay separate after that. Get the pass.
See, that's not even my problem with Street Fighter. My problem was the day it launched, it had no fucking modes.
Well, they had no modes and they had no characters. A lot of characters are missing, and then when they did announce them, you had to pay for it.
Yeah,
they weren't just included as free downloads.
What else? Yeah, Kojima, the way Konami did him dirty. I could agree with that. What else? I'm drawing a blank for some reason.
I got a good one.
Okay, go ahead.
Bethesda.
Oh, what did they ruin?
They ruined their Fallout franchise by naming it Fallout 76. They should just fucking named it Fallout Online.
Agreed.
That was that single decision set people's expectations to a different thing than what they delivered. And I still love the product when they finally worked the bugs out, as has happened, but still love the product. But yeah, it's forever tarnished because they called it Fallout 76. If they would have just called it Fallout Online, people would have expected it to have slightly worse graphics and would have been pleasantly surprised when they looked exactly like Fallout 4.
Do you pay for that subsurface? Like, is that
No, it's free.
It's free. Did they ever do it? Because it was like $14 or something they were talking about charging people. I don't even know if that launched.
I'm sure they probably have a premium option, but nobody. I mean, they just give you the premium currency, like fucking candy at a parade. So it's not necessary. Now they do have monthly subscription to the Elder Scrolls Online, but that one I can kind of honestly see because they keep coming out with DLCs, like expansions, like huge new worlds and a bunch of new quests and new armor sets and shit like that, like shit you would normally pay for. And so you can buy the DLCs or you can subscribe to the monthly thing, and then you just get access to everything in the game completely open. So, you can pay for I think they're doing a new Black Rock or something. I forget. They're opening a new area with a new quest line and a whole new thing. It's pretty much its own game.
Yeah.
So you get access to all of the DLCs if you pay $15 a month, which is cool if you jump in kind of on the back end.
It says $12.99 now, or if you pay $99 for the year.
Is this for Fallout
Yeah,
or
it's for Fallout 76, and it went live October 23rd, 2019. So
yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, I think that's just one of those, like, you get an XP boost of 10% and premium cards. Like, I don't know why anybody would do it. I genuinely don't. And I only say that so fervently because, like, Fallout 76 is one of the games that I think should honestly be an example for a lot of these games, like Division and whatnot. They give you a lot of premium currency. They give you enough premium currency that you can buy a couple / a few things. And if you want to, you can spend more money in there. But most of the time, like fucking Assassin's Creed over here gives you just enough to be 100 short of anything you would want to buy in the store. So I appreciate Fallout's. It's kind of like going to the mall when you were a kid. Your parents would be like, if your parents would be like, "Here's $5, go nuts." You're like, "Oh, cool! I have a tiny amount of money to do something with." And half the fun is figuring out what you want to do with it. And then the cool thing is a lot of people buy custom things for their houses, and then they build them in their houses. Which, as you're running through the world, you see, all of a sudden somebody bought like a giant spooky tree and put it in their settlement. You're like, "Oh, dope! Maybe I want to buy a giant spooky tree." And it's like $2. You're like, okay, cool. So yeah, I firmly believe that all games should be so charitable. I don't know what fucking word it is, but like, yes, if you're gonna say the first one's free, you got to give me enough money for the first one. That's the whole deal. Instead of being like, hey, first one's 80% off. How the fuck do I even know if I want to participate with this shit?
I have my answer, by the way.
Ooh, cool. I'm done vamping.
I'm gonna say just one word, and that'll be that. Andromeda. That's all
What could they possibly? Hold on, no. What could they possibly have fixed to make that game playable?
The decision to offload that to the B team was the mistake.
Okay, there it is. That's why I was like, what singular decision made that one fail?
Okay. It was the selecting the B team. While the A team worked on Anthem, and we saw how that turned out.
Shouldn't you just say then Anthem? No, I guess I wouldn't.
Anthem's not a franchise.
Yeah, I realized that.
Yeah.
Right after I said it.
There you go.
It probably won't ever be.
Oh. Think about it, because of that game, we're getting a fucking remaster instead of a new game.
We still haven't heard shit about it.
No, remember they said. Oh yeah, right. They announced Mass Effect 4, I think is going to be called, but that was after they said, yeah, this franchise is going to be on ice for a while, going to cryo sleep.
But didn't they say we have news on or am I confusing the game? We're going to have news on the state of Anthem.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we still haven't heard anything. They literally said this week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago.
Hey, vamp question for you guys.
Yes.
Since we're getting so many of these games coming out in a broken form, right? Like normally video game timelines are you play a game, it's popular for a few months, boom, off you go. So many of these online games are being kind of released broken and then fixed later. Like, what do you think the average lifespan on some of these games are? Like, is it by the time they fixed it, they're not worth playing anymore? And I know that's not this way on the PC community because they love just getting their money out of things. But like Anthem or Fallout or something like that, like No Man's Sky. When they actually, No Man's Sky's a good one. When they actually do fix their shit, have they already reached their expiration date?
No, because they get renewed life, so they obviously didn't reach their expiration date.
So you're gonna try No Man's Sky?
No, Hell, the fucking no. I'm answering your question. You said, do you have an expiration date? I'm like, no, because the game got, it came back. So obviously he doesn't have an expiration
but I
date.
thought you just said you didn't want to try No Man's Sky because
I'm not talking about myself. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about in general.
Oh, okay.
I thought that's what you were asking. You didn't say you in that question.
Dude, nope. I'm pleasantly surprised. This is you took it from a not my opinion point of view, and you threw me for a loop, man. I
but you didn't say the word you.
I know. Well, usually everything is usually from your point of view.
No.
So like,
if you say you, I will give you my perspective. You were asking a general, objective question, so I gave you a general, objective answer. That's how this works.
Dope. Okay, my bad.
Okay, no problem.
I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, I thought you were giving me a Tony's opinion thing, because everything's Tony's opinion.
You need a Tony's take?
But the thing is, that's not an opinion, because that's just a fact. I can't give you an opinion on something that's factual. That's just a fact, It's like going, what's your opinion on this color of the sky? I don't have an opinion. It's fucking blue. It's right there. I don't have an opinion on it.
Well, your opinion could be it looks pretty,
No, but that's not the question. The question is, what color is the sky? I'm like, what is your opinion on the color of the sky? Is it your opinion that it's blue? I'm like, it's not my fucking opinion. It is blue.
If you're colorblind, it may not be.
Yeah, well, that's not my fucking problem. What the fuck was the question again? Franchise is ruined by the developer. Do we have anything else? Going once, going twice. Sold to the man in back.
Can I say throw Devil May Cry in there?
Which one?
That's the problem. I can't. I don't have time to formulate the thought onto which one or exactly where they went wrong. All I can just say is
Devil May Cry 2.
Yeah, because they fucked up a lot. Devil May Cry 2 was the first one, right? And I love this fucking game, but DMC, the Ninja Theory game, that was the next one, and then Devil May Cry 5 was the next one. So they've had 3 fuck-ups. And you could even make an argument for 4. You could make an argument for 4 as well.
Man,
damn, so there's only been two critically acclaimed games then. 1 and 3. That's it.
What is it? Didn't DMC get good reviews?
It got good reviews, but the fans were mad that Dante didn't have white hair.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, these games all run together. Which one was that introduced Nero?
Yeah, I personally like Ninja Theory's game the best, but that's because I'm not a huge fan of the normal ones,
Which one introduced Nero?
That's
4.
4.
I disliked 4.
4. My problem with 4 is I like Nero because I felt he played better than Dante, but the problem is I really liked half the game. I didn't like replaying that same half again.
I don't know, man. That's one of those most unliked characters for me. It just felt so desperately extra. Like your sword has a motorcycle throttle on it. Okay, there's a point where you tried to be cool too hard.
I think that was 3 you're talking about. Like they went extra on that one, but people liked it. By the way, who said Ninja Gaiden in the chat? Because that's a good one. Ninja Gaiden 3, people got pissed off. Tumeka said it. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden 3, they fucked up. And then they did like a remake of it like a year later,
Sigma, right?
No, not Sigma, it's 3. Ninja Gaiden 3 specifically. They made it easier and shit. People mad,
I'm mad. I mean, even for like a game or like a franchise like BioShock, it's like I don't even know what to pinpoint it on, but why is that franchise like not active?
I don't know.
Because 1 out of 3 of them was really a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 of them were critically acclaimed.
They didn't sell though.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I feel like, and I may be going dangerous territory here. I feel like the 3rd one sold on the beginning of the woke movement. It's a good story, and it does bring up some good points, but I don't think it's any more culturally has more cultural impact than say the first one did, and the second one was just devoid of.
Well, I mean, just because
meaning.
just because Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 3 aren't as good as Mass Effect 2 doesn't mean it's not my favorite franchise.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is like, okay, so 1 was a fucking masterpiece, right? It was it was very, very Anne Rice dystopian kind of thing. 2 lost its way and was basically a fanfic of number 1, and then 3 had a solid base, but really sold itself on color of skin politics and woke movement kind of thing. Like, I think that.
Well, just because you're not into that stuff doesn't mean it didn't sell.
No, I'm not saying that it I'm not saying was I not into it, nor did it not sell. I was saying that when you said what happened to it, I said, like it gained such a name on the first game and then failed to capture that lightning in the bottle on the second and the third. Even though they were really good games, they were no BioShock.
Yeah, but I mean, Super Mario Odyssey is no Super Mario Bros. 3, but it's no Super Mario Bros. World or Super Mario World. But,
yeah, well,
like franchises keep going, even though their sequels aren't as good or as heavily touted or sell it as good as the initial ones. But I mean,
that's the only thing I can think of why it disappeared. Like it was just kind of faded away in popularity by each of the games being subsequently less popular. It's still a great franchise. It's one of my favorite fucking ones ever. And I that's why I say, like, man, I can't see that they did anything wrong. I can't see any one point where they steered the ship wrong. It was just the first one was so good. The second one was kind of which people will usually give a pass on that. And the third one was good, but it wasn't the first one. And I think a lot of people are just kind of like, okay, I think I'm over it now. Because I can't point it on any one thing. And I'd love it to come back. I hear they're are they remaking System Shock?
Yeah, they are. Or it might be already be out. Yo, by the way, I had a fucking total brain fart while you were talking about that, Brett. For some reason, I thought you were talking about the Mass Effect series. I'm like, this motherfucker is crazy. What is he talking about? And then when I heard Bioshock and I thought back on what you said, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense now. So I'm like, hold on, what are you talking about? Mass Effect 2 was the greatest as the first one? Fuck no. Mass Effect 2 was the Terminator 2 of that franchise. It took shit to the next level.
No.
Yeah, but I agree with you on Bioshock. I was like, what the fuck?
And I want to take back some of the stuff. I don't even think it was completely the woke movement kind of aspect to it. That's not giving it enough credit. It was a lot of shock value, I think, though. Like once you saw it, you're like, oh my god, okay, now I know how the world works. But BioShock 1, I had first of all the best twist of any game I've ever played in my opinion. But 2 had a really deep story that you just kind of sat back and you still to this day you think about it and you're like, huh. And it kind of asks you big questions. I think the third game more challenged you with difficult situations, but didn't ask you as big questions, because I think the question more it posed was, are you racist? And once you answer that, it's not really something I think you need to ask yourself over and over again. Although I do recommend checking yourself and all that good shit. You know what I mean? I think that the big questions posed by number 3 aren't as resounding as the questions posed in 1. I don't know why I'm so vague. I'm not spoiling shit for anybody.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, now that I know you were talking about BioShock, minor correction, you meant Ayn Rand, not Anne Rice. Right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. I said it's stupid.
Yeah, Anne Rice, the vampire lady. Interview with the vampire author.
Yeah. By the way, BioShock Infinite, according to this article in 2015, sold over 11 million copies.
Million. Yeah, it's the best-selling one, isn't it? The franchise.
I don't know if it's the best.
By the way, I thought BioShock Infinite was fucking awesome. Like that, I'm not gonna spoil the ending, even though the game's fucking old. But I'm like, this is some Star Trek shit. This is fucking awesome. I'm with it.
It was great. It was absolutely great. I just don't think it was as heavy and resounding as the first one.
Yeah, my problem with the first one is the twist went over my head. I'm like, huh? I didn't get it. I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, that's what happened. So it completely went over my head. And that was also a time where I still wasn't too used to first-person shooters, so I was fighting against the game's mechanics.
You also came way late, so everything that was new
way late. Yeah. I played.
Okay, I can talk. I can talk about the spoiler.
But I don't want to sidetrack because we only got a couple questions. I kind of wanted the show already.
That's fine. I just want to say, like in the first game, it literally makes you question the decision every decision you've ever made as a video game player. Like, I'm doing horrible things. Have I ever thought about this? How is this the first time I've ever thought about this?
Okay, Adam, what are you doing?
That was the thing. It was like, should you throw the rock at the person on stage? You don't have to.
Oh, that's Infinite. Brett's talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Brett's talking about 1.
Yeah, but I guess the franchise in general brings up those type of questions,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I agree with Brett's notion that BioShock 1 is by far the best masterpiece in the franchise, but I disagree with his reasoning to it, or his potentially reasoning to why it could have hurt the sales, or it could have hurt the franchise for essentially not existing right now.
No, the first one was too good. You've never heard of that kind of thing? Where something is so good that there's not really a way to follow it up.
Yeah.
They followed it up twice.
Yeah. No, but he's talking about even if they follow it up twice and the game's still better, the first one's still better. You know? It's like Uncharted 2.
No,
right?
but I'm saying
Uncharted 2,
it doesn't.
Yeah, Uncharted 2 is so good, no game could ever live up to it in the franchise, but the game's still selling well, you know?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it doesn't make sense to why they wouldn't release more BioShock games. That's my thing. It's like
because they look at trending sales and not what's a good idea. If you put it on a graph, you're just going to see that graph go downwards, and that's enough for some investors to cut some shit.
I'm pretty sure
I don't agree with
sold the best though, didn't it?
Did it?
Yeah, it sold 11 million copies. If it's not the best, that's better than 99% of the games that come out.
11 million means nothing to me out of context, man. Yeah,
the first one sold 4 million.
Okay, yeah, then I retract that statement. I'm clearly wrong. That's what happens when you speculate sometimes, folks.
Yeah. All right, let's move on, man. We still got a couple more questions here. All right, so next up we have to make it. Last two questions of the night, people. This one's fun.
Oh,
Manny, I want you to answer first.
Yo, man, what am I answering?
Yeah, because okay. Is there any example? Because this is something you and I have talked about for decades, literally decades. Is there any example where the international box art for a game or console packaging is better than the Japanese version? I can't think of any. I can't either.
Yeah, it's funny because usually the Japanese or the European box art ends up being a lot better than the cheesy American art, and you know what it is, right? And this has to do with our own brain psychology, right? So there are two things. There are a few things, and this comes from me being experienced, selling, products, like comics and DVDs. So the idea is that you want to choose things that can be read from a distance, right? So what you do is you choose sort of graphic. You can choose a graphic cover where you have a clean silhouettes where you can see the character. But the other cheap and dirty way to do this is because we are predisposed to look at people's faces. They will throw a giant head on the cover, and you, for some reason, and everybody does this, everybody looks at a face when it's there. Doesn't matter what, you'll be looking through the whole thing. You'll just focus in on the face facing forward image. It's always the same thing.
It's hardwired into us, and especially because they always look intimidating. We are hardwired to be able to pick out an intimidating or angry-looking humanoid, body and face from a distance.
Another good example of this, when they started re-releasing all these kids cartoons, like kids movies, like kids animated movies, all they did was just draw a giant head of the character on the front. So if it was Tom and Jerry, it's a giant Tom head on there, or it's Mickey Mouse, it's a giant Mickey Mouse head. They get rid of all the original covers and they just put these giant faces on there, because it's not only one, we're predisposed to look at faces. Two, if it's a recognizable face, it will also do that, and that's part of the reason why they do that with a lot of the covers, rather than try to do something a little bit more interesting. Which I do have to say, there's been some interesting covers. I think Resistance had some really great covers, like especially the red and the red covers they did. I was like, wow, I'm surprised that they let them do this one, because they didn't put a guy with a gun on the cover with his back facing forward. That's also another one too.
How are we supposed to know what the game's about then, Manny?
Oh, yeah, well, he's got a gun in his hand. And
every Call of Duty.
Every Call of Duty, what do you. But yeah,
point to the gun.
It's a guy pointing the gun. What? It's funny because with the Call of Duty game, you can kind of get away with putting anything on the cover, because when you say Call of Duty to somebody, you already know everybody knows what that is. So you can kind of get away with putting something else on there, but they'll always put a guy with a gun on the cover facing forward, or have a giant face of a dude, something like that.
Dude,
But
Manny,
yeah.
that's so frustrating because you know as well as I do that thematically you could do so many other things. But like,
Oh yeah.
a helmet with a bullet hole, you could do a close up of a bullet in flight exploding or something like that. Like,
Yes, you can. There's a world of things that you can do, but because of the way marketing is and all that other stuff, they're like, okay, and again, because of the psychology of the way these certain things work, they're just like, you know what? Let's just throw a giant head on the cover. Let's put a whole cover of faces on there.
Yeah, actually, to just support what Manny said, that thing that he's talking about is actually so strong that people see faces where there aren't even faces.
Yeah,
you see a face in the bushes. It's that same hard wiring to recognize faces. That's how strong it is.
Yeah, I mean, motherfuckers thought there was a face on Mars. Remember that shit? They they changed the lighting. It's like, oh, no face anymore. You know?
Yeah, it's the same sort of. It's the same stuff that the.
There's one cloud was looking at me side-eyed the other day, man. I kept staring. I was like, what the fuck are you looking at, bro? You know, because it looked like it had a face going on, so I just stare at it. It's just something that's just hardwired into us, you know. Sometimes you look at wall plaster, it kind of looks like a face, so you just,
or the usual,
the
usual thing. Like even guys like Scott McCloud, who there's a book called The Understanding Comics.
Yeah, it's a great book. Great book.
There's a section about masking and how we sort of suture ourselves into things inanimate. See faces in inanimate objects and stuff like that, like Spider-Man. Like if you look at his face, right? He's such a simplified face. He's just a pair of eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, I see every time I fucking have burnt toast, I see Jesus and shit, man.
No, you don't see that Carlos Stop line. You see Virgen de Guadalupe, man. That's what
I see. Guadalupe. Oh, okay, that's true.
No,
Guadalupe.
No, it wouldn't be Guadalupe. It'd be Virgin Mary.
Dude, I think your toaster's haunted.
No, that's what because Carlos is Mexican. He sees Guadalupe, man.
Yeah, Virgin of Guadalupe is the Mexican.
Yeah, it's Mexican.
No,
yeah,
it's the Mexican version of the Virgin Mary.
Yeah,
Guadalupe. Okay. Okay, yeah. All right. So,
yeah.
So yeah, but
it's the same person. It's just
Yeah.
It's a long story. I'll tell you.
Wait, David, what PlayStation's been doing, but way longer.
Wait, what?
What happened?
They've remastered it.
Guadalupe, the remaster of the Virgin Mary.
Yeah,
kind of yeah.
So, I would love to see. Yeah, I can't really think of any covers for westerns. For like certain titles that were here that had a better cover. It's kind of disappointing. Like even the European covers have been pretty crazy. Like there's one. Oh man, I think Uncharted did it, where they literally did like a Drew Struzan painting for the Uncharted cover. I think it was for Uncharted 2. I'm like, why the fuck didn't we get that shit? That would have been so awesome. Even if it's a painted cover, but then you get like another good example of really bad covers. Like if you look at Eco's original cover, right? That is the worst. It's like cheesy CG shit.
The American one.
The other one, for the Japanese one, it's really interesting, but I also don't think that would sell either.
Oh no, but it's interesting about the original Japanese one because me personally, I could stare at that thing for hours. It's so arresting, and then because it's based on an actual painting, right? The American one, it's like this is stupid. Just to bring your point home, remember when Doom 2016 came out, right? People for fun threw logos of other games in there, and they all worked. Every single one of them worked. Because what is Doom guy? He's just a guy with a fucking gun. By the way, and this is also why I commend Rockstar, because when they come out with they're drawn, they're like hand drawn covers. I'm like, oh shit,
Rockstar kills it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh shit, like that. And like when you see it, like, oh,
they do.
Yeah.
They not only get away with an illustrated cover, but they get away with a cover that doesn't have. It has a montage of a bunch of the different shit that you do in the game. Like they're not only faces. They're like, okay, some of them are faces, some of them are actions that you can do in the game. Yeah. It's an amalgam of things, and they've continuously done that.
Yeah, and it always works, But you're right. In general, American or international covers is just, like you said, you broke it down. It's like they just go for this simple. Think about the cover of Last of Us, which is just fucking Ellie, just her big head. Uncharted 4, I believe, which is Nathan's big head. Because you're right, you go into that store, it's like, look at that big head. I'm gonna buy that big head.
Dead too. Remember you saw
like a good example. another, and this is not like this is the one for everywhere. So if you saw Death Stranding, right? Death Stranding, what did they have? Giant Norman Reedus head, no matter what.
Yep.
But there was this one illustrated painted cover that they did that ended up being on like the adaptation of it. The and that was awesome. It had a montage of all the different characters, some of the events. Great looking cover. Would have wished that was on the actual game. No, it's just a giant Norman Reedus head that we get. No matter what version you get like bloody version of him. You get like him with his hood up. Same thing.
Yeah,
notice.
No, go ahead. No, Brett, you go first, and then Adam.
Oh, the head thing was replaced another trope. It's like this game. I keep forgetting the name of it. It's got like this guy. He's kind of like walking forward on the front. He's got like a gun, some military equipment. It's kind of medium build, muscular white guy. You know the game I'm talking about?
Yeah, literally every game that came out in the last 20 years. You know,
is that Shooter Man?
White guy,
Shooter Man. There you go, Adam. What's up,
white
bro?
guy game.
I noticed that digital game covers change. They just change randomly. Like, I guess when the publisher decides to change it, they've changed. I've had a few games that the covers changed. And I don't remember that ever happening. And one that comes to mind is, for example, my FIFA 21 had David Beckham. The one I've got was the David Beckham edition. It had big face, like you were talking about, big face David Beckham. Okay. Then I noticed 2 days ago, I went back and now I have a different player as the cover. It's not David Beckham anymore. So I'm like, what the hell are they doing? I noticed I looked through all my other games. Some other games just erase the cover and put something completely different.
Well, sometimes, sometimes what they'll do is, and Netflix does this too, where they try to attract your eye to something, to something that you may have seen already. They'll flip it out to get your attention. Like if you're going through a store and you constantly see the same things over and over and over again, okay, now you just swapped out. Like now Evil Dead has a new cover. It's because they want to catch you. They want to see if they can catch you on with that alternate version. So they'll give you another version just to mess around with stuff. It's kind of like the way they do it at the when they do re-releases. It's kind of like what they do with re-releases. They constantly keep on changing out the covers, even though it's the same DVD that you've been getting for the last 20 years.
So you notice it the next time you're going through the store, even though you blinked it out before.
Even though you blinked it out, like, wait a minute, it's the same thing.
Yeah, like,
but why do it if I own it? That's what I'm saying. I can understand why do it.
For David Beckham, they probably have a limited license with him. His likeness license ran out, and they probably like, all right, let's get the cheaper guy since David's out.
Also, Adam, they probably do it across the board, just so that they have one cover for all their games. Mm-hmm. Like the best example I can think of is Super Meat Boy, right? Like the cover of that is the red background with the Super Meat Boy face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've seen that on Steam so many times, you just scroll past it at this point. You've thought about it once, and it kind of fell to the wayside. Now you just don't even see it. Well, they changed it to a picture of Super Meat Boy fucking leaping, and the next time you go through the Steam store, you're like, oh, that reminds me, I need to play Super Meat Boy, and you fucking download it. But they'll have one cover, so they swap out the ones in everybody's library, just so everybody has the same thing. So if I happen to be on Steam and I'm like, yeah, you should try Super Meat Boy, the cover looks like this. As you're looking through the store, I'll be like, it's like a white background with Super Meat Boy jumping, or it's a red face with Super Meat Boy on it. There's benefits to keeping it streamlined across everything.
Should be an option. What if you like the cover that you got, and it's like, oh, now you got to look at El Generico cover.
You don't have control over that when you have digital media. You know, if you buy your disc at the store, your cover ain't going to change on your shelf.
Yeah. By the way, real quick, I want to give a shout out to Merc305 Plays, who is rating us with some of his followers. So welcome. Welcome. Yeah. Enjoy the show.
Welcome.
Right.
Shit. Defend the vault.
Yeah, right. They're rating us, son. All right. And the final question of the night, also from Mr. To Make It. All right. If Sega got a second chance at the console business, what would you give for them to do so? What changes to the current landscape would have to change? Or do you think they had their shot? You guys know me. Love me some Sega. Huge Sega fanboy from back in the day. Sega would not work well in the modern gaming console space as a manufacturer of consoles. Here's the thing. Sega, even back in the day, during the heyday of their days, right, they were already on their way up because Sega's main thing was always, we're going to produce the best, most accurate arcade console versions of games on home consoles. But arcades were already out. Nobody, there were a whole generation of gamers that have never even been to arcades before. So that type of gameplay, that quick, easy 30-minute or less type of gameplay, that's not really going to be viable in a world where we have games that last hundreds and hundreds of hours, And like we said before many times, all the old guys, how you remember at Sega, they're all gone. They're in different companies now, So, yeah, again, there's that piece of you that wants Sega to be back just to because of the fact of the old days, but realistically, they wouldn't have a shot in the modern gaming landscape at all. I'm saying this as a Sega fan.
Tony, you're forgetting something though.
What's up?
The other leg of what Sega sold themselves on wasn't just strict arcade experience. I mean, that was for us nerds. But their general, more widespread thing was we're more extreme, we're more hardcore.
And that's done too.
Well, not really in today's current landscape, man.
No, it is. Think about it. Like, I'm going to let you finish, but here's the thing: the whole extreme gamer shit. That's part of the reason Xbox isn't doing so well. That was the whole thing Xbox was built on. We're the extreme gaming console. We're putting an X on the console. That shit's passe now.
Yeah. But you can drop the extreme, but keep the pushing the line thing, man. Like where other companies play it safe, push forward, push into that danger zone. I feel like the pendulum is swinging back on some of this woke movement cancel culture shit, and Sega with that old attitude would be poised to capitalize on that pretty well, I think.
Journalists would just destroy them for
dude,
going
but
out
what
of
does
line,
Rockstar taught us? All press is good press.
Yeah, we'll see about where Rockstar goes next couple of years.
Yeah. Like I wonder if that would still work, but my point is like Sony is really focused on being safe right now, being family friendly. That's where all this censorship shit is coming in. You have somebody come in and tout the opposite.
Unless there's a certain sex scene in a certain game, but we're not going to talk about that. Anyway, go on, sir.
If you had somebody come back and combat that narrative, we're the gaming system for adults. I mean, Microsoft kind of pushed this when they were successful, but they kind of abandoned the message. But if you're like, we're the gaming system for adults, we're the one that's going to push the edge, we're the one that's going to give you, we're the HBO of fucking gaming consoles. I don't think that would be a bad message. I mean, if somebody fucking came forward today and really pushed themselves on, like, yeah, we have crazy games, we have dark games, we have violent games, we're not afraid to push the envelope and do some experimental stuff while everybody else is being safe. We're extreme, for lack of a better term. Like, I would fucking be on board with that. It's one of the reasons I have HBO, because TV has a certain point where it tops out. If I want to see some dark or interesting shit, a lot of times I need to go to a streaming service or something like HBO.
I disagree with that. I'll let you finish, but I disagree with that part of it. I think Sony's first-party games are the HBO of gaming at the moment.
They are definitely depressing. They're definitely Oscar-y, but I'm talking about the more lowbrow stuff. Like, yeah, like the Oscars, a poor black single mother gets hit by a car and their child has to grow up feral. Like, yeah, sure, that's an Oscar-y type story. But then there's the people who want to see topless women wrestling. That's a completely different kind of pushing the envelope.
That's on pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's not HBO though. That's fucking Skinemax. That's what you're talking about. Yeah, for you kids who don't know, Skinemax was Cinemax After Hours back in the day.
They used to have naked women wrestling.
Yeah, remember? Oh man,
pay-per-view thing. Yeah.
I mean, his motherfuckers in the chat know about Skinemax. Oh man.
No, do it.
By the way,
go ahead.
On
violence, but there's a lot of other ways to kind of push the envelope. And I'm not saying go fucking neckbeardy, like really don't start putting Nazi shit up there just because it's controversial. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. But it's I think that we live in a more puritanical culture now than we have in a very long time, and I think a company poised to take advantage of the pendulum swinging the other way would be a viable option. That's my only point.
I see what you're saying, and I'm with you in spirit, but considering the current gaming media, they would be destroyed. They would not be successful whatsoever because of that. You know, and not to mention the fact that we already have 3 game consoles. That's already an anomaly in and of itself that are successful. Back in the day, it used to be 2, and that was it. You know, so I don't think a fourth one.
Yeah, they replaced Microsoft.
Yeah,
that's the part.
Microsoft's not going anywhere. Microsoft's going to blend into the gaming landscape and be available on every system. I fully believe that.
Yeah, well, in this hypothetical where Sony comes back as a well-funded company with a clout to actually release a system, they'd be vying for Microsoft's share of the market. Not that they would destroy Microsoft, but they would be more competing with Microsoft than Sony, I think.
Yeah. All right. What are you guys' thoughts on Sega? Chris, I want you to get in here from the business standpoint. What's your take on Sega potentially coming back, and if they could even pull it off?
I don't see them pulling it off. To be honest with you, I think that they've been so far removed from that world of building hardware, and that'd be too difficult for them to come back in to it. And then what would they offer in terms of hardware and price point that would be competitive with
fried chicken?
Oh yeah, it cooks your food.
Fried chicken.
Well, that hasn't happened yet, right? The KF console isn't.
You could order it. You could pre-order
really?
It. Yeah.
The irony is, it's the most powerful console.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say. That's what they say. You know, I just think Sega's doing very well focusing on their software, on their games and stuff. And I mean, I was sad when the Dreamcast got canceled and they were out of the hardware business. I was pissed.
I almost thought. Oh, I thought I was going to stop gaming. I'm real right now. I've said this story before. I'm like, that's it. Sega's done. I'm done gaming. This is sad. Yeah. Very, very disheartening. Yeah.
I was very pissed, and I was like, I'm not buying Xbox or whatever. I'm done. You know, I bought a PS2 and was a DVD player and everything, and I started getting the games, but I don't know now that it would be advantageous to them to go back into hardware. I just don't see it happening.
I agree. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And again, what does Sega have? Let's run down the line, right? They got Yakuza, right? I'm talking about the big sellers right now, because obviously their old ones are gone. So they got Yakuza, they got Persona, they got Age of Empires, right? I think they do that. Total War, whatever the fuck they do. Those aren't system sellers, man. I love me some motherfucking Yakuza. I love me some Persona. Those are not system sellers, man. Yeah.
It's a simple way.
You know, if they went all out for another Sonic, you'd at least look at it.
No, Sonic sucked. What are you talking about? Sonic Mania is the only good Sonic game in the last 16 years. They've been terrible since they went to 3D.
Okay, well then you're terrible. But a lot of them still sell. They still hold like a value in people's eyes. Sonic is still a major icon.
I don't think he'll be a system seller. I highly disagree with that. You know. Yeah, Bayonetta. Hey, listen, love me some Bayonetta. That's not a system seller, man.
How did Sonic Mania do? I thought
Sonic Mania did well, but that's not a system seller either. You know,
dude, I have to say, like, the only thing that has to be familiar about a Sonic game is it's fast and it has Sonic in it. It's just like Mario's gone through so many different kind of iterations and kinds of games. He's an icon, and icons sell. It's that simple. I hate it.
I don't know, because obviously they've been making fast Sonic games for a while now, and they
don't work. So well. Yeah, all those games they just barely sell.
Why do you think they turned him into a fucking werewolf and gave him Lord of the Rings power?
Dude, I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that those games were good. I'm just arguing that they would do it. They would do it though.
Sega ain't coming back.
Oh no, Sega ain't coming back. And in this hypothetical, they would have to come back with a slew of new, like, huge games. Like, it's an impossible ask. But if you could, ask a genie for it, they'd come out with, a bunch of new flagship games. The same way, well, I guess Nintendo hasn't really done that, but they come out with some new stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it's never going to happen. And if it did, it wouldn't be able to succeed. But I can live in a fantasy world where one day.
I want to give
Dreamcast.
I want to give a shout out right here to Stage 373N. He goes, Sonic never made the transition to 3D. They failed over 20 years to make a proper Sonic 3D game for the next generations. Yes, exactly. I'm sorry, those 3D games are not good. You know,
I'm not saying they weren't. They're bad. They're bad.
Terrible.
But they keep making them, and for some reason, it keeps giving some sort of notoriety.
I think they sell just enough to keep making more. You know.
Yeah. I think it's less about selling the game and more about having a mascot. To be honest.
Yeah. I don't know. To be honest, I think Sega's mascot should just be Kiryu. You know, from Yakuza now. You know, or what's his face? Adam Ichiban, make him the mascot now.
But again, it's that same phenomenon. After 20 years of making bad games, Sonic is still a bigger icon. You see Sonic on a T-shirt, everybody fucking knows who that is. That's my point.
No, I don't disagree.
The best point real quick.
I'm not advocating for 3D Sonic games here. I want to make that very clear.
That shit.
Let me drop the mic on with Brett's point.
Uh-oh.
There was a Sonic movie that came out 2 years ago.
Oh.
There you go.
I'm waiting for the mic to drop.
Dude, it's after 20 years of failed gaming, they still made a movie out of it.
Yeah, but no one's saying Sonic isn't an icon. He's just not going to sell any systems.
Yeah, I think, Carlos, I think you might have just, I don't know what you did with that mic, but you didn't drop it.
You didn't drop it. I'm still waiting to hear it. I'm still waiting to hear it.
I see where he's going from there.
That's more like a record. That's more like a record scratch right there. Like,
we should add that.
Yeah.
No. It's in terms of like him being an icon. Yeah, that's absolutely
icon.
But I mean, I don't know how it exactly connects, because you could have a Sonic game that doesn't sell. It's not great. It's not well received, but it would still shed light on the system in a positive way. Just something about it being a mascot. I don't know. And the reason I say that is because it's been happening for 20 years. Yeah, the games have all sucked, but we still all love Sonic. Put them on fucking t-shirts and coffee cups, even though every fucking 3D game just sucks balls. Why? I don't know.
Because I know why. Because Sonic doesn't work in 3D. That's why.
But no, why is he still so popular?
Because it's Sonic, man. That's why. Listen, like Manny was saying before, that iconic face, right? That simple to read face. Everybody knows Sonic. Those big fucking eyes, they grab you.
Yeah.
It's he's already reached icon status, so it's like no matter what, like it'll people will recognize it. People might pick it up and stuff like that. But it's already reached that point where it's like even when it's doing wrong.
Ruben asks, "Damn, how old are you?" He goes, "My grandkids are obsessed with Sonic. It blows his mind." Think about it again. A little kid could never have played a single Sonic game in his life. He sees that character, he's immediately drawn to him just because of the design. It's it's just striking. So that helps a lot. It's iconic.
Icon.
All right, I think we're done here, man. So let's do some pimpings. Manny, what you got?
What do I got? Well, we just had the launch of Future State Immortal Wonder Woman #2. Just came out on Tuesday, which is from DC Comics. And Excellence #10, which came out on Wednesday. It's interesting kind of being in competition with yourself. Like I literally worked on one book and the other book, and they're both on the shelf at the same time. So yeah, both of those are out. So if you're interested, go pick those up. We just did I did a throwdown draws the other day on Saturday. So if you want, you can check that one out. It's also going to probably premiere on YouTube. It did about a 4-hour stream, and I know it's a long one. But yeah, I'm going to see if I can continue to keep doing those regularly for folks. So you can, join me and talk and, stuff. We had, what was it? Who was in our chat? We had Subgata was hanging out with me, asking questions and stuff. So it was all good. So yeah, good times.
Good stuff. Remember, Manny, this is switched. 4-hour stream is perfectly acceptable. All right, Adam, man, something is back, isn't it, brother?
Walking Dead proper is back, and so we had another episode of I Am Negan, which you can find on YouTube, on Spotify, and all those other good places. And yeah, it's back. This Walking Dead proper season 10, episode 17, Home Sweet Home. It was on their AMC network for this week, and it doesn't debut until next week. So if you want to know all about it, we did a recap and discussion. And that's out now. That's myself and Carlos and Richard Bailey Jr., also from the Coalition. So
yes.
Go ahead, check that out. It's good.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, people. That's going to do it for us, man. So thank you for watching and listening. Make sure to follow us on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, and join the Discord where it is always popping. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and hit the little bell and all that other good jazz. You can find us on any podcast app by searching for Throw That Show. You can visit throwthatshow.com to listen to past episodes. Links to everything down below, and shout out to everybody in the Twitch chat as always. Once again, I was here with Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you later, guys.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Peace out.
Adam Vale.
We people.
Brett Murdoch.
Deuces.
And Brian Manjoma.
I still maintain that the PS5 is the Cyberpunk of consoles.
Oh, shit.
Oh, and he hasn't even opened the box yet.
Damn, son. That's crazy. All right, people. We'll see you on Thursday. Later.
God, we're putting Brian last now.
Bye.